Hey everybody, Rob here. Since on this episode we were talking about the extended cut of The Fellowship of the Ring, the episode is a little bit on the long side, so we decided to cut it into two parts. So don't worry, both parts are going to be released at the same time. So you can listen to part one and then go right into part two if you want to, or you can listen to them separately at different times. However you want to do it, the option is there. But anyway, have fun. Here's part one of The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. Welcome to Rob and Tony's Cinematic Adventure. I'm Rob Wilson.
And I am Tony the Quano.
So Tony, let's talk about one of our favorite film trilogies ever made. Right up there with Star Wars and Indiana Jones.
It's there with Star Wars and Indiana Jones, which is now, what, not quite a trilogy.
I mean, there's 5 of them. It's a quintilogy.
Pentilogy or quintilogy, whatever prefix you choose to go with.
Yeah.
But the classic trilogy, obviously. And Die Hard, Back to the Future.
Yes, absolutely.
Scary movie.
You know, the Scary Movie ones, I've only seen through the third one. I haven't seen anything beyond that.
I'm trying to think if I saw the third one. I know I saw the first two. Anyway,
we're not talking about Scary Movie. We're talking about
the
Lord of the Rings trilogy. Starting out with The Fellowship of the Ring.
The extended cut. We'll be doing all the extended cuts. I think that's the most appropriate way to go about it.
I think so, too. They're the most complete as far as information from the books put into the movies. And they're just so much more enjoyable because there's so much more in them.
I can understand from a particular point of view, especially for like Return of the King. Like, okay, doing that cut might have been a hard sell theatrically.
Yeah.
It's still just so much more enjoyable because like most of the stuff that was cut was just kind of cut to make it slightly better for a theatrical experience.
Yep.
From a home viewing experience, it just flushes everything out because most of the stuff, in my opinion, the stuff that got cut overall was just done mostly for pacing, right? But it's all stuff that is legitimately part of the canon of the trilogy.
Yes.
It's not stuff that was not a deleted scene, which you could argue is like, okay, that's not canon, right? No, this is part of that universe. And when you watch the further movies, right, say both Two Towers, Return of the King, there's things that happen in those that don't make a lot of sense without some of the scenes that they cut out.
They reference the extra scenes in the extended cut. Like the theatrical versions reference extended version scenes.
Like, if I recall correctly, one of them is the lembas bread, which is not really, in a theatrical cut, not really mentioned in Fellowship of the Ring.
It is.
But then gets mentioned later. Very briefly, though.
Yeah,
to the extent that they flush out kind of a lot of it, as they do in Two Towers and Return of the King.
Yeah.
So.
Now, another thing is Galadriel's gifts.
Yes.
The theatrical cut only shows a couple of those.
Which are, in particular, the rope, the elven rope.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the elven rope. And then also Merry and Pippin's daggers and belts that are mentioned in Two Towers that you don't see them get in the theatrical cut of Fellowship.
No. You get to see Gimli get his fez.
Yes.
So when he joins the Indiana Jones universe, he is appropriately clad.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, you really only get the one main gift, which the payoff is not for 2 more movies, but
yeah,
nothing wrong with that. But, and we'll get to the differences, as we dive into them. Some of it's just very quick snippets that are no more than 5 or 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Which, maybe could have been left in, whatever. Other stuff is maybe 30 seconds longer or a minute longer. And some of it is new scenes entirely.
Yes. So, yeah, I mean, for Fellowship, it adds, half hour, 45 minutes to the movie?
Right. Well, I mean, the other thing, it's hard to judge. It's
stuff that was put back in.
30 minutes. Technically, it is about 40 minutes. But part of it is because they also add stuff to the credits.
Yes. Yes, they
did. What they did, the credits was they listed all the names of the people in the fan club.
Yes, that's right. They did.
Right.
That's right.
And so that added 10 minutes to the very end credits, which technically gets put on that runtime.
That does make a lot more sense that they would add all those names and it would add so much more time. Because, I was always under the impression that they only added about 30 minutes or so of movie to it. And all of the runtimes that I've seen between the two, there's a 40-minute difference. So that makes sense.
Yes. No. When you look at the back of the DVD or Blu-ray 4K case, or now when you look at the running time, it's on Max, where it streams through. If you're a subscriber, which I guess will now soon be Netflix. Boo.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's not necessarily because Paramount.
Paramount
did try to outbid them.
That might get bloody. We'll see.
Yep.
There's gonna be a Michael Clayton type movie about that, or a Social Network type movie about this one day.
Yeah, there will be.
And we'll need the appropriate person holding a bag of baguettes.
Yes.
All baguettes.
Yes. A bag of just baguettes. full of baguettes. Not just like one or two baguettes, but like a paper grocery bag full of baguettes.
And he's going to eat them all by himself because he lives alone.
Yeah.
But I could make a meal out of a baguette, whatever.
He clearly doesn't care about carbs. So, yeah.
But yeah, so progressively, each one would get longer, right? Like Two Towers we'll discuss it more in detail next week. I think it ends up being about 5 or 10 minutes longer than the Fellowship extended cut. And then Return of the King is like a full extra hour.
Yeah, just about.
Movie. Which was a longer movie anyway. Like Two Towers and Fellowship. But Two Towers like 1 minute longer than Fellowship of the Ring.
But
Return of the King was like 40 minutes longer than both.
It was like 30 to 40 minutes longer in the theater. Then they added another hour or so to the extended cut.
And there's a lot to get into Return of the King.
Yes.
Obviously.
Yes, there is.
They put in complete points that were completely dropped out from the book, which is that's the thing about these movies. It's there's entire large plot points and characters that just get dropped.
Yeah. In this one,
I get it.
This one in particular, there's no Tom Bombadil.
No Tom Bombadil.
He was a huge part of the beginning of the Fellowship book.
He was a huge part. Everyone loves Tom Bombadil.
But his character, unfortunately, was cut from the movie, and the part that he plays with the Hobbits was transferred to other characters.
Yes. Now, in the Ring of Power series, he has been introduced, which is an add-on, really kind of consider it within the theatrical universe of Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, right?
I love Tom Bombadil. He was a great character.
I love Tom Bombadil, too. And I get cutting him for the movie. Not even just cutting him, not including him in the movie.
Yeah. Like not even, no mention of him
not
anywhere.
Even in the script at all. That's one of the striking things about the books. Okay, it's a whole book, but it's 3 books within that book, and each book of those 3 has 2 books, right?
Yeah.
It's 1,000 pages all together. And they're not talking large font books.
No.
And I mean, they're a terrific read. So obviously there's going to be just things that just you can't necessarily put in the movie.
Yeah. I mean, a book, we've discussed this before on this podcast. You can put a lot more in a book because you can take as long as you want reading that book.
Oh, yes.
A movie has to be within a reasonable amount of time.
And, there's a lot of other characters that get cut out, which are very easy cuts that you can see for the movie. Now,
yes,
Tom Bombadil is a much more difficult one because he's so crucial to the book and he's so distinctive as opposed to some of the other ones are, they're kind of minor characters that help at certain points.
Yeah.
Like Elrond's sons. They feature prominently in Return of the King, but they're an easy excision.
Yes. And
Tom's a harder one, but at the same time, also not because there's, we'll get into it as we kind of talk about the movie, but there is a lot of the beginning of Frodo's journey that gets cut out.
There is, because, there's a lot of the early parts of Frodo's journey in the books really don't have anything to do with the main quest. So it's easy to cut a lot of that out.
Right. Especially as he's still in the Shire, right? I mean, some of it's great stuff, like the songs, the poetry of it. You get this... It helps you get the sense of what the Shire is, right?
Yes.
It helps flush out the setting, which is great in a book because it immerses you into that world. But with the movie, he's journeying for a while in the Shire and it's talking about all these other little towns and such, and it makes for great imagery reading. But in the movie, at least a movie, you can kind of just show that imagery to begin with.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the fantastic things about this movie is the level of detail and the sets are absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. Not to mention, the backdrop of New Zealand.
Yes.
Just the scenery.
I would love to go back and
beautiful movie.
See how much their tourism increased because of these movies. But yeah, it's so pretty. Again, they're using real landscape. But yeah, Tom comes at a certain point and it's extended out and it's great to stay within that. But, we can talk about where it gets inserted as we're talking about the movie. But it's also after the threat has been established.
Yes.
In the movie. The movie tells us this is the threat. This is what's going to happen. And if you just kind of plop that in after that, you're spending this nice time within it. But
it's distracting.
You're kind of stalling the story too.
Exactly. A movie, you need to make sure that it keeps on just moving. If they were to keep all that Tom Bombadil stuff in, then the movie would drag. It would drag on because you would have, it's some great material in there, but it strays too far from the main plot of the story that it wouldn't work well in the movie.
Absolutely. It works so well with the book too. And one of the reasons, because again, you can just sit there and you can just ruminate with it and think about it and close your eyes and let the story go. And other places,
Mm-hmm.
which is one of the great things about books is that you can just close your eyes and just put yourself in there and deviate from the story that's happening on the pages.
Yeah.
Sometimes. And what Tolkien wanted to do was create a mythology. So like, yes, spending this time talking about these cultures and these characters and their histories and their own languages, you can spread that out and allow yourself to envelop in that. And it's wonderful. And I love it. I mean, the books are outstanding.
Yes, they
absolutely
are.
fantastic.
Yes, they are. I love these books.
And it's really quite amazing when it comes down to it, because like when you read the books, like even if you watch the movies first and then read them, you'd be like, wow, like they really did a great job of pulling that off.
Mm-hmm.
And I know some of the book fans are very critical of the movies. That's fine. They can, I'm not going to disparage that. I get it. But like, for a long time, there's a reason people say it was an unfilmable book, but they did it because like it does spend so much time just creating this mythology and spending time away from this main action. And then the poetry of it, it's different than say The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, right? If we're going to take a look at something that's kind of parallel around the same time, at least that Narnia book is a very filmable type movie.
Yes. Yes, it is.
It might be fantasy, but it was a super filmable movie. A lot less risky than filming The Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Which again, it's a 1,000-page book, but they pulled it off. And it's because like they really drew on from the vast material that's out there. And they used the wonderful like renderings and artwork and were inspired by that to try to put that onto the screen. And like we talked about the Shire, like when you just see the Shire and just the great sweeping views of it, and it's like you get swept into this other world. And I was just thinking about a particular scene, which we'll get to later. It's like, yeah, I mean, you can just see this as being so theatrical because like, it's great watching it at home. Right. But I was thinking about this with certain movies that just fit so well in the theater. Like, I get it. Like, we have bigger screen TVs in the home now. It's just still different when you get a wall-to-wall screen.
When you have a wall-to-wall screen and a midnight showing, a theater packed full of people on opening night. I mean, this whole trilogy, it was an event.
It was an event. You don't have the distractions of everything else. And like, when I went into the movie, I was excited about it. And people say, "Oh, all right, what's it, friends? We gotta go see this. It's the big thing that's coming out. Let's do this. It's a Friday night in December. Christmas. It's Christmas break. Let's do this." And it was the Fellowship was so successful. It made the rest the next two these massive events.
Yeah. Well, it was a Thursday night. It was a Friday morning. It was midnight Thursday night.
Yeah.
Into Friday morning.
Yes, it was. Well, my first showing was not the midnight.
Oh, yours was?
Okay. Fellowship, I did not do the midnight.
See, mine was.
I did the midnight for the other two.
Okay.
I saw it that Friday. So the technically opening day, I saw on Friday night. Like
for some reason, I thought we saw it together. I thought, because I saw it with a group, and I thought you were part of that group.
Not this. No. I saw Justin. I saw it with Justin Clays. I forget who else was there, and I was sitting like in the third row, so I was like staring straight up at the screen for this. But then I immediately fell in love. And I watched it. I watched Fellowship 8 times in the theater.
Yeah, I know. The two of us saw it at least once or twice together in the theater. I remember there was one day. We got out of school and we were bored and we're like, hey, let's go see Fellowship.
Let's go see Fellowship of the Ring. Why not? This is back when, this is kind of funny. Like at this point, theatrical windows were shorter than they were even 10 years prior to this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But definitely still longer than what they are today.
Yeah.
That was a time where, you go, you might have it in the theater for 6 months.
Yeah.
But it was one of those ones, like, it was sort of the beginning of kind of some of that event type of viewing for a movie, right? Again, like you're saying, the midnight showings, right? Which you would start to get, like, for other movies, like Spider-Man 2. All right. See the midnight showing of that, right? the Harry Potter movies that came along, right? The MCU, The Dark Knight, right? Gotta do that midnight showing. And now the preview screen starts on Thursday, like at 2:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah, it's. I
don't know.
I really miss midnight showings.
The midnight show is different.
The midnight show was, and they didn't do it for every movie.
No,
nowadays every movie comes out on
every
Thursday.
movie has it. Yep, every
movie comes out Thursday afternoon, even though the official release day is Friday. But so I don't know why they don't just say it's released on Thursday. Yes. But no, for the big movies like this, they would do midnight shows, and it was phenomenal.
You just built up your entire day to it, right?
Yeah. You're thinking about it all day. You're slamming all the caffeine you can, so that when you get to the theater, you can stay awake during the whole movie.
It was just like with the release of these movies on DVD, right? I remember, like, because I was in college and we had a Walmart Supercenter, and I went I made, because of Walmart, they're open 24 hours, right?
Yep.
So go there, wait for midnight.
Yep.
Like, they'd be displayed out there. You couldn't buy it until midnight.
Mm-hmm. But as soon as the clock struck midnight, boom, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, midnight showing movies it's a different breed, and it's like, it's like the extra late concert starts at 11 o'clock at night. Like, it hits differently.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, and for these movies, they're 3-hour movies, and they would show at that point. They still had a lot, trailers at that point. Yeah, they have like 20 minutes of trailers also, right?
Yeah.
So movie wouldn't start closer to 12:30. And it's a 3-hour movie, and it's like 3:30, and you get out and you go home, you sleep, and
yeah,
it is what it is.
Luckily, when it came out, we were on, winter break, so we didn't have to get it for school in the morning, but
right, it was perfect. Like, the memories of the theatrical experience of all of that for the three of them. It's just
yeah,
and I mean. And it's not coloring my perception, because they're great movies to begin with. But there's a nostalgic factor also just kind of hits with all of that. Because again, it was looking for another opportunity. Let's go see it again. Let's go see it again, right? Because it is such a great theatrical experience. And like, you would have to wait. I think it ended up being the DVDs came out for the theatrical cut. Again, it wasn't like 3 months. It was probably closer to like late spring, early summer when they actually released the DVDs of them.
Yeah,
right?
and they released the DVDs, but then by the time that they released the DVDs, they had already announced that they were going to be putting out the extended cut.
Right.
So that they were going to release more DVDs at the end of the year, like a month or so before the next movie came out.
Yeah, it was about a month before the next movie would come out. It was usually like early November.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the trilogy was released right around Christmas.
Yes. Which is why it's also an appropriate time to be doing it now.
Yes, it is. And so, yeah, I remember when, I couldn't wait to own it, to own these movies, but I didn't want to buy the DVD right when it came out because I knew that there's the extended cut coming out. So I waited until the extended cut came out, and then I bought the DVDs. But my sister couldn't wait for the extended cut, so she bought the theatrical cut. So I still got to watch them until the extended came out. So
that's great.
But anyway, so
I bought both myself.
I mean, I have both now, just because now they have sets with both. But did you read the books before you saw the movies?
I did not. I bought the books. I bought the book after I should read the books, or the book afterwards. I bought buy it in the whole. The one I bought was the one that had picture of the ring wraith, the Black Rider on the cover, right?
Okay.
It was released specifically with the movie because the movie, again, it's a massive success, and it's one of those movies that hit like every every demographic liked it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I mean, the books are, they're like just completely ingrained in culture, like in our culture now. I mean, that
Oh yeah, no, it's
things like D&D were created because of these books. Because of the Lord of the Rings was one of the biggest influences on the guys that created D&D.
it brought a lot of the niche fantasy stuff like that and put it into mainstream vernacular where it wasn't as forbidden or taboo, right? It's all there now, and it's like you could just say an orc and like yeah, people know what you're talking about. You could say the ring or the One Ring, and it's just the thing. And yeah, you get these other fantasy creatures or things within, like, again, like you're saying, like D&D that might have been more not obscure, but not something that was embraced widely.
And
then people are like, all right, let's do it. No matter, it really kind of, and Harry Potter plays a role in some of this too, I guess, but because at least for the movies, they came out around the same time, but
yeah, but yeah. So I had started reading the books right before the movies came out, so I had gotten through. I got through chapter 1.
Okay.
Of Fellowship. I think I read that I might have finished that chapter the day that it came out. Or maybe it was like a day or two before. But anyway, I had only gotten through the first chapter, which is essentially Bilbo's birthday party.
Yeah, right.
And then saw the movie.
Yeah.
And so I knew everything that was going to be going on up through the birthday party. And the rest of the movie was a surprise to me. But
you got to wonder if someone wandered in that movie not knowing there was going to be 2 movies after it.
I know, right?
And you get to the end, you're like, what? Where are they going now?
Where are they going?
What happened?
How is that an ending? Yeah, so
they're just walking.
But by the time Two Towers came out the following year,
you read all of it?
I had read all 3 of the Lord of the Rings books, and I'd read The Hobbit.
Okay. See, I held off just because, like, it's like, I don't want to spoil the movies, so I held off.
Okay.
And now I read all of them, and I love all of them. And obviously, the Hobbit movies eventually got made, or the Hobbit eventually got made as multiple movies.
Yeah.
A 1,000-page book got made into 3 movies. A barely not even a 200-page book got made into
3 movies.
3 movies.
Yeah.
So take, I guess we have to address the elephant.
Yeah.
I
mean,
I am not a huge hater of the Hobbit movies.
Me neither. I enjoyed the Hobbit movies. They're not nearly the caliber that, the Lord of the Rings movies are.
Yes.
But they're still enjoyable. I still love them. The book
There's no need
definitely
to be
better
3 movies
than the 3 movies. They really stretched it out to make 3 movies.
It could have been 1 movie.
It could have been.
But
yes. And not only are they 3 movies, but they're 3 movies
solid.
that are about the same length as these 3 movies are. So it's not like they're 3 hour-and-a-half movies.
No.
They're 3 3-hour movies.
Like, if you wanted to, I could see making 2 90-minute movies for The Hobbit.
Yeah.
Right?
I can see that.
But they didn't do that. Whatever. I mean, Grant, they didn't make a 3-hour and 40-minute one, but
no.
So,
but
anyway,
I mean, they had to do that for Return of the King because the way that the books are set up, like you said, each book in the trilogy is made up of 2 books. Like, there's book 1 and book 2 in Fellowship, and then book 3 and book 4 in Two Towers, and then book 5 and book 6 in Return of the King. In those books. And so there are things that take place between the books that are going on about the same time as what's going in one book that's going on in the other book.
Yes, right.
Inside that, but you can't really translate that to the screen to as easily as you can in the book. So a lot of the stuff that was in the Two Towers book ends up in one of the books inside that book, ended up in Return of the King
as the movie. Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up. And we know, I think we could, as we discuss Two Towers and Return of the King, we know we'll dive into those scenes. But yeah, that's the fascinating thing about not fascinating, but yeah, when you look at the books, Fellowship is very linear, right? Mm-hmm. For the most part. But yeah, Two Towers and Return of the King, like, is spending one book spending time with certain characters.
Exactly.
And another book with other characters. Yeah. And theatrically, you can't do that. And that's one of the things I think is really well done about the movies. Like, they actually able to piece it together.
Yes.
Really well.
They are.
To make it still all very seamless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that's kind of one of the more overlooked aspects of how well done these movies are, is how they're able to take the main stuff from those books, then piece them within a screenplay, and then edit the footage they have for that in an appropriate fashion for those two movies to make it still very, very watchable.
Yeah.
So we can talk about the music. Awesome music.
I mean, the music is fantastic in this. It's not John Williams.
No.
But it's fantastic. John Williams would have done an amazing job with this. But, I mean, it doesn't have to be John Williams for this movie.
It doesn't. Howard Shore was very commendable.
Yes, Howard Shore did a fantastic job.
Yeah. No, and then, which is kind of funny because, like, either take a look at his, a bunch of his movies before this. We've discussed him previously.
Yeah.
We know Silence of the Lambs, Seven, right? But was this his first Oscar? I'm trying to remember if this was his first Oscar. I believe so. Yeah, he's won 3 Oscars. Yeah, all for Lord of the Rings movies. And that actually is it's funny, he's been nominated for less Academy Awards than I thought. But yeah, because he would win later for Return of the King also. We can discuss that then. But yeah, I mean, you can talk about the music, the set design, the visual effects, just even the screenplay itself. All wonderful. The acting, the costumes, the makeup,
yeah,
the set design. But like that aspect of piecing those together, gets overlooked because you have to make it theatrical also, and to make it watchable. It could be a beautiful looking movie, but if all the scenes are disjointed, it doesn't mean anything. And they pull it together amazingly.
Yes, absolutely.
And, so take a look back at this, right? So let's see, reception. Let's see. Because this first one was nominated, it was 11 Academy Awards, I think, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, no, 13. Excuse me. It was nominated for 13, and it won 4. Right? Won Best Visual Effects, which each Lord of the Rings movie won for Best Visual Effects.
Yeah.
We talked about Howard Shore won the Best Score for this. It won Best Makeup, which makes sense, right? Because it's now called hairstyling and makeup.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some magnificent locks in this movie.
There are some magnificent locks in this movie.
And then let's see, best cinematography, Andrew Lesney.
I mean, if this movie didn't win Best Cinematography, then there's something wrong
There is
with Hollywood.
something wrong. Yes.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, and we'll get into Return of the King. Return of the King ended up being almost a complete, sweep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was also nominated for screenplay, art direction. Again, like it probably could have. I don't know what won for that. What won that year? What beat them for art direction? That just seems wrong. Probably Moulin Rouge. That was that year.
Yeah, probably something like that.
It was Moulin Rouge.
Oh,
Yes.
look at that.
Best. It lost to Black Hawk Down for best sound.
Well, I mean, Black Hawk Down did have a lot of explosions.
It did. Yeah, lost in best costume design, best film editing, best original song. Missed a chance to get Anya an Academy Award.
Yep.
Best director, Peter Jackson. Best picture. And sadly, best supporting actor, Ian McKellen. But he just completely brought Gandalf to life.
He was Gandalf.
I'm sorry, like Jim Broadbent, I like you well enough. You're a fine actor. You did not. No, you were not Ian McKellen as Gandalf.
No.
Like
no. Ian McKellen was perfectly cast.
Jim Broadbent won for the movie Iris. If you asked it, most people like, oh, remember Jim Broadbent and Iris, and they would look at you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. They'd look at you with their irises.
Tell like, hey, Gandalf. Like, oh yes, big gray beard, pointy hat. Haven't seen him near 6 months.
Big pointy hat.
He is one of the unsung characters in this entire trilogy, by the way.
Yes, he is.
And he's actually he's one that's a character that's slightly reduced from the books.
Yeah.
We'll get to
him.
But no, Ian McKellen's like Gandalf. Like again, we talk about bringing this thing into the mainstream. Like he's one of several characters now that's just so widely known.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Frodo, Sam, Aragorn, Gandalf. Right?
Yeah.
And part of the reason is because like his performance is so amazing.
Yes, he brings the character to life, like literally brings. Yeah, he brings him right off the pages,
and he makes him a character, brings him off the pages, and he just puts that soul into it too.
Mm-hmm.
You just see it in the way he sits. You see it in his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Just the weight, his own weight of what's happening.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's brilliant work by Ian McKellen. Should have won an Oscar.
Should have won.
Sorry, I'm sorry, Jim Broadbent, but no, Ian McKellen should have beat you that year. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's just not going to sugarcoat it, but because he's awesome. And I mean, it's the other things like this movie has like so many actors and actresses in it, right? It's a big cast because so many different things happening in it, and it's funny at that point. Ian McKellen actually had been nominated for an Oscar, but most of his stuff was slightly more art house type movies, right? And they cast him here. And then, it's mostly, there's American actors, but it's largely like British and then Australian and Kiwi, right? Yeah.
And another thing about
because
Ian
Peter
McKellen,
Jackson himself, the director, is from Australia, right?
Yeah.
New Zealand, New Zealand.
Another thing about Ian McKellen in this movie, though, you would think that a movie like this that would have so many British actors, we would have a gigantic who's who of Doctor Who for this series.
Right.
But in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the only actor who was also in Doctor Who was Ian McKellen. He played the Great Intelligence in Doctor Who, or the voice of the Great Intelligence.
You know, maybe parts they did use a lot of actors from Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah, they did.
But at some point, at the same time, like Ian Holm was in this movie. I'm surprised Ian Holm, hadn't hit Doctor Who at some point.
Yeah, me too. In fact, when I was researching that part, he was the first name that I looked up to see if he was in Doctor Who.
Even like Christopher Lee, you would think, okay, Christopher Lee played Dracula.
Mm-hmm.
And you would think because that was such an offbeat type of performance and character, and it's around that same, that's pretty adjacent to, classic Who, that he would have been a very perfect actor to kind of go into Doctor Who.
Yeah, you'd think
and play something, right? But no, Christopher Lee never played in Doctor Who.
No, but I'm glad you brought up Christopher Lee, because if you hadn't brought him up, I was about to bring him up.
Okay.
Because we've gone through all this and have not mentioned Christopher Lee yet.
He was a gigantic fan of the works.
Yes. He's a gigantic Lord of the Rings fan. He actually knew Tolkien. He had met him before.
He met him. Yeah, no. He was more than happy to go ahead and play in these movies. Take the role of Saruman. And then he had this kind of collection. I think it's funny, like, the kind of the two main hobbits in this, right? Or two actors that were kind of child stars or weren't like the huge child stars, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they ended up in this, Elijah Wood and Sean Astin, right? And we talked about Sean Astin back in Rudy.
And we talked about Elijah Wood in Back to the Future 2.
Yes, we did. Which is funny. That was the first Elijah Wood movie, was Back to the Future 2, not The Good Son.
We haven't talked about The Good Son yet.
We talk about that pre-show fairly often.
Yes, we do. Someday we may actually have to do it for the podcast.
Right. But yeah. But I believe that's what the only other, I guess it's the only Sean Astin movie we've done, right? Is Rudy. I don't think we haven't done the Goonies yet.
Not yet.
We haven't done like 51st Dates or anything along those lines. But then, yeah. So, it's a mix of like these, a few of them were like these respected British actors or older actors. Like, Ian Holm, like, was an elder, respected actor, right? Not a no name, right?
And before this,
Christopher Lee,
he was Magneto in the X-Men movies before this.
Right. Well, the first one, right?
X-Men. Yeah, in the first X-Men. Before.
Well, it's interesting because that was released in 2000, right? Or 99.
That was 2000.
And these movies they started filming in 99.
Yeah.
Right. But X-Men was released before this.
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing with like Orlando Bloom. Like he was in Black Hawk Down.
Yes, he was.
Which was another 2001 movie. It was released around the same time. But this started filming before Black Hawk Down.
He was way more well known from this.
Yes. And then he went to Pirates. We talked about that in our Pirates of the Caribbean episode, The Curse of the Black Pearl.
That's what happens if you give an elf too much rum. He becomes a pirate.
John Rhys Davies in it, right? Which we've done, this is now our 6th movie with him.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, because he wasn't in the fourth, the second or the fourth. This is our fourth movie with him.
Fourth, yes. Yes, he's only in the odd-numbered Indiana Jones movies.
Yes.
So it's good to have him back.
Which are also the ones that Indy's fighting Nazis. So, unfortunately, Sala doesn't get to punch any Nazis in the 5th one.
No, he doesn't.
He does in the 1st and 3rd, though.
He's a little bit older. He's got grandkids. Hey,
Indy's older, and he gets to punch Nazis in the 5th one.
That's true. I still just love how For the later two movies, it's like, all right, we're gonna introduce his son. It's gonna be Shia LaBeouf. Oh, that movie flopped. That flop. No one likes the movie anymore. We'll make another one. And we'll just kill off Shia
We'll just kill
LaBeouf
off
off
his
screen.
character.
Supposed to be this big thing. Indiana Jones has a kid. Mm-hmm. Oh, never mind about that.
No, let's just send that kid to Nam.
Then you have some more like unknowns, like Dominic Monaghan and Billy Boyd.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought, I'm glad Dominic Monaghan, was able to go on and have some success afterwards.
Yeah.
Billy Boyd never really did, unfortunately, even though I thought he someone that could, maybe find an actual good role somewhere, but it never happened. That's fine. You got Kate Blanchett, right?
Yeah.
And then,
you got Hugo Weaving.
Hugo Weaving. Well, that's the other one, right? Because he would have been already established by with the Matrix. But like this movie started filming in '99, so like I don't think that Peter Jackson cast him based off the Matrix necessarily.
Yeah,
he just cast him because he was Australian.
Yeah,
and then it just happened that around the time they were starting to film this, the Matrix became a breakout hit.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, but he talks exactly like he does when he's Agent Smith in the Matrix, and it. I mean, he's great as Elrond. I love him as Elrond, but
it's hard to see it.
It's hard to separate
the Matrix.
It's hard to separate Elrond from Agent Smith.
Now, what would happen if someone,
especially with the way that he uses some of his phrases?
What would happen if you watched Lord of the Rings first and then you watched The Matrix?
I don't know, because that's not how it happened with me.
But anyway, I love Hugo Weaving. This is probably this is the movie where he gets the most meat of his time.
Yeah.
Because he'll be in all three. And then what's the name I was going to mention? Oh, we mentioned like Kate Blanchett.
Liv Tyler.
Who at this point was pretty, still a relative newcomer. And Liv Tyler. I mean, people knew Liv Tyler because she's, the daughter of
Steven Tyler.
Steven Tyler. And Ben Affleck got to explore animal crackers on her.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
A movie we might do for next 4th of July.
Maybe. We just might. But then we also, I don't think we've mentioned Viggo Mortensen other than just that he plays Aragorn.
Yes. Well, there's the last two, right? So we got Viggo Mortensen, who again, was kind of more thought of as a character actor at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I really respect the career he's taken from this. Like, he's chosen the roles he's kind of wanted. And he's found some really good ones. But yeah, he's amazing in this, and he's in all of them. And then one of our favorites, who also probably would have been one of the more well-known actors at the time, was Sean Bean.
Yes, Sean Bean.
And I don't think this is really a spoiler because he's Sean Bean, but he does die.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, there are very few roles that Sean Bean plays where he doesn't die. So yeah, I don't think that's really much
funny enough. One of them is Ronin.
Yeah.
A movie which features plenty of characters dying.
Yeah. Good movie.
Sean Bean's such a great actor, but for me, this is still his greatest role, his greatest performance.
Oh yeah. And
because he doesn't get to play the strict villain. No. He gets to play someone that's a quasi antagonist, but not really. He just plays someone that's super, super flawed. But then we can discuss it later.
Yeah, he's
because there's so much you can dive into. He's flawed, but like the point is, we're all flawed,
Exactly.
but like it draws off his weaknesses and his insecurities. Yeah, I I hmm. I love Sean Bean in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. He's
Like
fantastic in this movie.
it's a tricky. Again, I mean, it also goes to part of the stuff that's on slightly unfilmable, right? Because like you have the actual villains, which are very easily drawn, but then there's characters with real weakness and real complexity.
Yeah.
And even like his character, like it could have been very easy to make his character just be more like an actual villain. But no, like
No.
he just
No.
the screen, it's well written, but then like he understands the character and the role and how it's
Yeah.
written on the screenplay and how it's written in the book, and he just
And
owns it.
and everything that you learn about him and his family and everything that's going on with Gondor in Return of the King, you don't know all of that stuff yet. That's still 2 movies away if you haven't read the book.
Yes.
Even if you have read the books, it's still, you don't get that stuff until the 3rd book, until Return of the King. And
Yeah.
he shows all that in his performance. Like all of that backstory that you don't know yet, you can see it come out in his performance.
Yeah. When you watch it closely, especially if you watch it close together, like you've watched Return of the King recently, and you know what, I'm gonna watch Fellowship again. Like, oh, like you see it, or if you read the books recently, like, oh yes, you get the nuance and the texture to his character.
Yeah.
So I love him in it. Yeah, it's I mean, the character is just a great character to begin with. I mean, like Viggo Mortensen, like again, like there is so many little nuances of his character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And and part of this is maybe as I get older, like when I see some of these characters that have this weight on them, like I start to identify with that and seeing how the actors imbuing that into their performance.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple things we won't probably it's I don't want to get into it yet, but a few things where I kind of noticed watching it the most recent time, the past couple times watching it. It's like, it's just, yeah, it's so good. It's like, it's stuff he does that's just silent. It's just, again, you see it in his face and how his body language and posture. And
Yeah.
I can't speak enough of the cast.
Yeah.
And the one we haven't mentioned is because he's not really much in this one.
No, but he is in the
Andy
other
Serkis.
Andy Serkis. This is the trilogy. This is the series that put him on the map, that made
and that's
him a
the other
household name.
character. Like Gollum is like another one, and it's the series that really made motion capture.
Yes, it is.
Take off, and it's because it's twofold. It's because, okay, they did a great job with technology, but Andy Serkis absolutely nails the role.
Yes. He's not just a voice. In this one, he more or less is the voice, mostly just the voice, because you hardly see Gollum in this movie. You just see him from a distance.
But in the other ones,
he's there. Is not only providing the voice, but he is also playing Gollum. Like he's on his hands and knees with the other actors when they're filming.
Yes, he's not in some studio speaking into a microphone. No, he is there. He's interacting with them.
Mm-hmm.
And it draws out their performances.
He's wearing the mocap suit. And Gollum's motions are coming off of him. So this trilogy introduced Andy Serkis to the world.
Yeah. And and yeah, and he's done it with other things, and like he is kind of a guy that wants to do his own directing also.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, uh, it made Andy Serkis like a household name
Yeah.
along with some others. But yes, it's and again, like it revolutionized that motion capture. Again, we talked about the Matrix earlier. It's like I think you had two movies within that short period of time that really revolutionized kind of the visual effects for movies. The Matrix, and then you had the Fellowship of the Ring,
Yeah.
right? And they revolutionized them in their own ways. But yeah, they're both did a fantastic job of pushing forward effects in movies.
Yeah. And this,
And the good thing about this movie is like we're talking about that being this visual effect, this computer generated effect, right? But this movie does not just rely on computer generated effects,
no,
right?
there's
It's
practical
using
effects all throughout.
it's using miniatures, right?
Yes.
you know, other
Both
forced
of the
perspectives,
yeah, miniatures of the artificial and humankind.
which we'll get to very soon because it deals with the beginning of the movie.
Yes. Forced perspective, like you said. It all these camera tricks, and like the visual effects for this movie it's different from most movies because they didn't use ILM.
No, they didn't.
This movie gave ILM some competition in that realm.
Mm-hmm.
They used Weta for this.
I'm gonna say they used Weta. They had they again it was using a lot Australian and New Zealand,
Mm-hmm.
right? All these things, and like they scoped out like these locations in New Zealand that they thought fit, and they fit. And I loved like, okay, so this movie, because they filmed the movies back to back to back, which I think most people know.
Yep.
But they went 2 years earlier and started building into the countryside.
Yes, they started building
not
the
just
Shire.
building, planting, building. They built locations 2 years prior to filming.
Yeah.
Like that's a long pre-production period.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because I mean, they had to give those plants time to grow. All the plants are growing on the roofs of the hobbit holes and all that. Those are real plants.
They were plants. No, they built like doors in the hills.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's they made paths. That were the road to the Shire of Hobbiton, and they made sure they found the right trees, and I could go on and on about all of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just that level of detail they did with that is fantastic. Which is one of the reasons why like the Hobbit movies just didn't work as well because the detail wasn't the same. But part of it's also because like Peter Jackson wasn't originally supposed to be the Hobbit director.
Yeah.
So, and I've noticed some other little details just here and there that it's easy to miss, and then you sometimes you rewatch it, pick up on it again. Again, some of these are things that might also just be things that are hardest to pick up on a home screen, as opposed to wall to wall,
gigantic,
where your
sized
whole vision is on the screen. Like,
yeah,
even if you have a big screen at home, most people can't have the ability to have a screen where your vision's not, your peripherals are not going to be distracted in some degree.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's Peter Jackson and the team. He didn't win Best Director here. He won it for Return of the King later. They kind of waited on a few of them, and some of them they just couldn't wait. Like the visual effects. There's no way you can wait on that.
Oh yeah.
And the score was just so outstanding. So I get it, but yeah, I absolutely adore these movies.
So do I. So do I.
Yeah, it's just Again, I saw this one 8 times in the theater. I bought the DVDs when they came out. I bought the extended edition when they came out, and I've bought pretty much everything in terms of the different editions that have come out since.
Mm-hmm.
I will eat up all of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's for a movie that, like, I did not know much about the books before I saw it.
Yeah. Neither did I.
I kind
didn't know a
of
whole lot
vague thing about it. I remember the teaser trailer, which is the classic shot of them kind of coming over the crest of the hill up the mountain, right? With the swelling music.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, well, that all sounds interesting. At that point, I'm all for something that's seems action oriented and adventure or fantasy. I'd go see anything. And I had no idea when I sat down to watch that movie in 2001, right before Christmas, that it would change my life in so many ways.
It's like all those people that saw Star Wars in the theater in 77.
Yes, right. I was going to see it. I thought it'd be a movie I'd really like. I was going to enjoy some time with my friends. And it completely changed how I looked at movies. And yeah, it's become a whole other thing. And now I've read the books with my son. And we bonded over it. And we've watched the movies together. We've bonded over that. It's been a completely different experience.
So, shall we get into it?
Yes, we've had this is a good pregame talk.
Pregame talk. It was, yes, I agree. I agree. There's so much more we could put into this segment of
we could just make we could just make that entire episode and then just have you wait into the next one.
We could, but we're not that cruel. Instead, we'll just make you sit through a nice long one.
Yes.
But anyway, spoiler alert, we are going to be talking about this entire movie, beginning, middle, and end. So if you have not seen it and you don't want to be spoiled, then pause the podcast, watch the movie, come back and listen. If you have seen it or you just don't mind being spoiled, then keep on listening. But we are going to be spoiling this entire movie, and we will also be spoiling the book. Some stuff from the book. So if you have not read the book and you don't want to be spoiled, same thing. But yeah, you have been warned. Now let's talk about this movie. This amazing movie. So we start out with the music.
The music. And it's the New Line logo, right?
Yes, the New Line logo.
Reel that slowly falls in. We've kind of we discussed that with 7 kind of recently, and I love it's just kind of
but the movies that I think of every time I see that are this and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes. And the music right now is kind of the soft, like instrumental, but then you have like this vocal that kind of comes up over.
Yeah, a Kate Blanchett voiceover.
Before a voice comes on the screen. Yep. Yeah. And at first she's just kind of speaking in Elvish, right?
Yes. And as this is going on, like as the music's swelling and all that, then we get the Lord of the Rings title come up on the screen.
Yes. And, it's done a very kind of, what you would think of, again, it's like the script is old style. It's very fantasy type of script, right? And then she just kind of says, much of what was once was lost. Now, there's none now live who remember it.
Yeah.
Right? And they do a great job to start with right here because they know that a bunch of people have never read the books.
Exactly. So that people are, if they don't put this little intro in here, people are going to be lost. It's just flat out, people are going to be lost. Because there's just so much in this story, like so much in this movie, so much in the books that, if you don't have this little exposition dump at the beginning, just to explain the backstory of everything, then the casual viewer is going to be completely lost.
I mean, this little prologue probably takes about 7 to 8 minutes. So nice, short and concise, and it does exactly what it needs to do.
Yeah.
And, then she just says, like, it began with the forging of the great rings.
The rings of power. 3 were given to the elves.
immortal and fairest of all beings, right? And we see three
Mm-hmm.
elves, right? And again, they have this nice kind of glow about them.
Mm-hmm. And
One of them is Kate
they're all
Blanchett.
showing off their bling.
Yep, they're showing off their bling. 7 were given to the Dwarf Lords, great miners and craftsmen of the mountain holes. And again, like these are not your garden gnome type dwarfs.
No.
They're short, right?
Yeah.
But they're also stocky with
Mm-hmm.
big beards. And you can tell.
Big bushy beards.
Big bushy beard. And you can tell, like, they're around this like stone table, and they have their axes, and they're picking up their rings together, right? And they're in some stone room that looks like it's in the middle of a mountain.
Yeah.
Right? And nine rings are granted to the race of men who above all else desire power. Right? And then you have these 9 kings that are lifting up these rings, and
these 9 elderly chaps.
I love how like they look like these just old men.
Yeah.
Not like these strong virile kings.
No,
they just
look like old men. They look like Richard the Longshanks in Braveheart.
Oh, have you Longshanks?
That is a line in this movie. I didn't even think of that when I brought up Richard Longshanks.
It's funny. It's like, I like lines like, they above all else desire power. And I think sometimes people are too quick to think that the ring itself is supposed to symbolize just power, and it's not.
No,
they want their rings because of power.
Yes,
they want a ring of power because of power, but the One Ring is different, right? But then, it continues, and she says, "But they were all of them deceived, for another ring was made." Right, and then her voice gets serious. It's like, "In the land of Mordor."
In the land of Mordor.
Her voice doesn't change that much. It's like, in the fires of Mount Doom, the Dark Lord Sauron.
Mount Doom. I mean, is there a more appropriate name for this mountain? Is there a more ominous name for a volcano than Mount Doom?
Hey, let's go on vacation, honey. Do you want to go to the Misty Mountains, the Lonely Mountain, or Mount Doom?
Oh, honey, let's go to Mount Doom. I can work on my tan.
But yes, it's such a spot on name. Yeah, it's the Dark Lord Sauron, forged in secret, and mastering to rule them all, right? And I love how he's standing just, kind of on the precipice of some ledge over the fires of Mount Doom, and he's just all armor.
Yeah, just armor, real spiky helmet.
Helmet on. Like, even his armor is like, it looks like, this guy looks like a Dark Lord.
Yeah. Yeah, he's basically a spiky Darth Vader.
She says, go ahead, sorry.
He's basically a spiky Darth Vader.
Yeah, spiky Darth Vader. Darth Vader and his goth ears.
Without the breathing problems.
But Darth Vader and his punk ears, not his goth ears. Anyway.
Yeah.
And then she's just like, one by one, the free people of Middle Earth started falling. Right? And you get these scenes, villages are being set on fire, and these strange looking creatures are chasing after them. Right? they're screaming, right? And it's like, but there were some that resisted. There's like a last alliance. It's great. I like this line of it, right? Because like you can tell like there's this whole mythology that you don't even know about. It's like this last alliance of elves and men, right?
Yeah.
It's like there's this whole backstory of these elves and these men, these dwarves that you don't know about. That it's not necessary for the story right now, but it's there.
Yeah.
And people have obviously delved very deeply into that, and more was written about that, but it's not important now, right? And they meet at the foot of Mount Doom for a battle, right? Well, at the foot of Mount Doom, I guess, at the Black Gates, really. But anyway, um, yeah, and this scene, it's like this overhead, and these creatures are like snarling at them and shooting arrows, and right. And you have these men and these elves marching up together.
Yeah.
Agent Smith.
Yes, Agent Smith is there with pointy ears.
And he's shouting something in a language that you don't know.
Agent Smith was there 3,000 years ago.
I was there.
But yeah,
Colonel Sanders.
I love this when he gives the order to fire, and all the elves are firing their arrows, and I always love the one that goes right past his head and sort of blows his hair a little bit. It like passes like an inch away from his face, and it just sort of the wind from it kind of just blows his hair.
He probably had his elf vision. He probably just very slightly moved his head. You couldn't even see it. But it's just enough, and it goes by and just blows his hair.
I always loved that shot.
There's something about blowing hair.
Yeah.
Elf. Nicolas Cage. Nameless elf. Nicolas Cage.
Well, Elrond's hair was the one that was blowing.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
He's definitely named Elf. But there were other elves there that I'm sure their hair was blowing too.
I love the scene, like, they're flipping up their spears as
that too. I always love that shot.
They're called orcs. They're called orcs, which is, become a very common, again, a very common monster now, right? They're flipping them up and they're slicing them through, and there's, you get these very quick battle sequences. Again, this is like a 7 to 8 minute prologue.
Yeah.
So, it's very, it's giving a very quick synopsis of this battle.
And then the battle
says like victory was near, but the power of the ring could not be undone.
And Sauron comes out.
Darth Vader with a spiky armor.
He comes out.
Shows up.
He's got his giant.
I love how it cuts to his hand, and you see the ring, right? And it's a very basic gold ring, but it's got this description on it that lights up.
Yeah, it's got this inscription on there that is in like a real fancy lettering. Yeah.
And we discover it's a type of form of Elvish later, but it's like the dark language, right? Yeah. And the music just turns serious. Boom, boom. And it just gets silent. And the picture's it's like from behind him, right? But it looks kind of down at these other men that are staring at him, right? And they can tell, like, they're scared. Right? And then he just starts picking up his, like,
he's got this giant
sword and his war hammer. Yeah.
And he just swings, and people go flying. Like groups of people go flying.
It's like he hits one, but it's like a bowling pin type reaction, right? He just scatters them by just even hitting one into each other. It's this big force reaction.
Like they're flying through the air.
And like, it's like,
he's just mowing
looking
them
really
down,
bad. Finally, it ends up hitting this guy. You can tell, like, he's the king. The king has fallen. Elendil.
Well, Elendil, yeah. Right? So we see Elendil come out. He draws his sword and comes after him, but then he gets hit.
Yep, he gets hit. right?
And so
he gets thrown aside. And he's got it's basically Bennett in his across his face.
Yeah, he's mortally wounded.
Yeah, we never actually get his name in the movie, but the books go into it. But that's who it is.
Well, his name is mentioned several times. I don't know if it's mentioned in this intro, but it is mentioned several times.
Well, it is. No, you're right. It isn't. Yeah, but not necessarily. Yes, you're correct about that.
Yeah, his name's Elendil.
And then that's the voice. The voice comes back over. It's like it was in this moment when all hope had faded. The son of the king took up his father's sword.
Yeah. So you have his son,
right? And he's grieving. He sees his dad there. He's on his knee. He's grieving. He sees his dad's mortally wounded, like you said.
Yeah. His son's name is Isildur. And yeah, so he's there. He's grieving. He realizes what just happened to his father, the king, and Sauron comes up behind him.
By the way, his dad is played by Peter Mackenzie.
Mm-hmm.
And Isildur is Harry Sinclair. But yeah, like you said, Sauron comes up behind him, right? And instead of hitting him, right, with any sort of weaponry, he starts reaching his hand towards him. And you see the ring.
Mm-hmm. Well, first he comes up to him and Isildur grabs the sword, grabs Narsil.
That's right. Yes.
Narsil is the name of Elendil's sword. And so he grabs Narsil.
He picks up his father's sword. Yeah. Like, you killed my father? You're going to die by his sword, bitch.
He's trying to attack Sauron with it, but Sauron steps on it.
Yes. And it breaks into multiple pieces.
And so he tries to pull it up from under his foot, and it breaks. And so he's just holding the hilt and just a small section of the blade. There's just a small section of the blade left on there. And this is when Sauron reaches for him. And why does he reach for him? I don't know.
I don't know. But Isildur takes a chance because he's still got the hilt. He's holding it. And again, it's got a small piece broken off the blade on it. And he just slashes at him, right? He just swings at him. The only thing,
yeah, it's all he can do. He just swings at him. He just happens to hit Sauron's fingers. He slices off a couple of his fingers. One of those fingers is wearing the ring. And so when that finger falls off of his hand with the ring on it, Sauron is no longer wearing the ring. And this burst of energy comes out of him, and he essentially implodes.
Yep, he implodes, and it sends this massive shockwave off. Right, you see these elves and men falling back. Isildur falls back from this implosion, right, and all that's left is you just see the spiky helmet.
Yeah, just falls to the ground,
plop on the ground.
And the reason this happened is because, in order to make the ring so powerful, in order to make it able to control the other rings of power, Sauron put every bit of his essence into this ring.
Into the ring.
All of his hate, all of his, everything, his spirit, everything into this ring.
Essence. It sounds like herbal essence.
Yes, it does. You remember those herbal essence commercials?
Yes.
With the orgasmic showers.
Anyway, there were people in this movie that were badly in need of some showers, by the way.
Yes, indeed.
Anyway. It's Middle Earth. You're walking any miles. Anyhow.
Yeah. But anyway, so because he put everything in him into this ring, when he was separated from it, he had nothing left. So basically his physical body evaporated.
Yeah. And you just see, like this crumbly part of his hand, right? And again, like it just kind of turns into crumbly like rock and dust, right? Except for the ring.
And Isildur picks up the ring.
And then the voiceover comes back, and it's like, it came to Isildur, and he had this one chance to destroy evil. But the hearts of men are easily corrupted.
And then it shows Isildur riding his horse down a path in the woods.
Yep. Down the path in the woods.
With the
There's a little
ring
creek
on a
bed
chain
next
around
to
his
him.
neck.
Yep. Now here's a part that is extended. So like this part does happen, but it's a little bit longer, right? It says she just says it betrayed Isildur to his death, right? And we see them kind of attacked by some orcs, right? But then you see him just kind of in the water as he's, and he's trying to grab it.
Yes, he's trying to escape
right?
the orcs, and he goes into the water, and the ring falls off of his neck, falls off the chain, and starts sinking down into the river. And he's reaching for it, and as he's reaching for it, he gets shot with a couple arrows in the back.
Yep, and he dies. And you see his body with the arrows in his back kind of flowing down the stream. Now, the extended edition, the way they do it, you actually see a little bit more of that action. You see the faces of these orcs. Yeah. You see him fall off his horse. You see him scared, and he puts on the ring. And when he puts on the ring, he disappears. Now, I can get from a certain point of view, especially for a first time watching this, and you have no idea what happens. I can see why they would cut this particular part out. When you want the first disappearance to be somebody else.
Yes.
But then that scene that we see with him in the creek bed, it falls off his finger, right? And he's trying to grab it because he wants to disappear. But now he's seen again, and the orcs see him, and they shoot him in the back with arrows, and he dies.
Yeah. And then the ring falls down into the rocks in the bottom of the creek bed.
And she says, then some things that should not have been forgotten were lost.
For 2,500 years,
like,
the ring sat there.
History became legend. Legend became myth. And it's like, and for 2,500 years, right? It sat there and waited. But it came to a creature, Gollum, who took it deep into the misty mountains.
An unlikely creature.
And there it consumed him, right? And we're in this,
it prolonged his life.
This cave in this mountains, and like there's the water there. Yeah, and she says like it brought to him unnatural long life. She says for 500 years, it poisoned his mind. And then it just starts to say like darkness crept back in the world. Rumor began of a dark shadow in the east. Right? The whispers of a nameless fear. And it says like the ring abandoned Gollum, which is an interesting way to spin it, right?
Yeah.
It betrays Isildur, it abandons Gollum.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
interesting choice.
And you just see this, the ring kind of tumbling down like this these rocks in the cave, right? It's like so yeah, it abandoned Gollum. But then something happened then that the ring did not intend. It came to Hobbit, Bilbo Baggins of the Shire. Right? And you see this youngish looking Ian Holm. He's on this ground. He's got this curly hair, these hairy feet. He's got this red shirt on with a vest. He's like, what's this? A ring.
A ring.
And then he hears his voice like, where is it?
Where is it?
My precious is lost.
My precious.
And then you see him put it in his pocket. My precious is lost. Right? Yeah, it's picked up by the most unlikely creature, a hobbit, Bilbo Baggins of the Shire. It's like, and then what's the final line she leaves off with as she concludes the prologue? Because the time may come where hobbits may rule the fate of all. Right?
Yeah.
And it cuts. Now, here's one of the most significant differences between the two. So if you watch this in the theaters when it came out, if you watch the theatrical edition first, you hear this music, right? It's a much nicer music, and it's this lovely forest area. And the title of The Fellowship of the Ring comes up, right? We had the Lord of the Rings at the beginning, and now it's telling us the title of the book that we're in, The Fellowship of the Ring. And Elijah Wood is sitting under a tree.
Yep.
However, we're doing the extended edition.
Yes.
We cut to Hobbit Hole.
Yes. We cut to an older Bilbo Baggins who's sitting in his study.
Yep. And the camera's panning around his house. We don't really know that it's just a hole in a hill yet, unless you've read the books.
We just see that it's a house.
But you can tell, like, it's got all these rooms, and you can tell he's got like all these papers stacked up in these
maps
books
and
these maps,
all sorts of stuff all in there.
He would almost look like, you'd think like, oh, this looks like maybe a professor's place, right? But anyway, so
it pans through the house and it goes to him sitting in his study, and he has this big leather-bound book sitting in front of him on the table. And he's writing.
Classic kind of quill ink type of writing, right?
He's trying to figure out how to start his book. There and Back Again, A Hobbit's Tale by Bilbo Baggins.
It's chapter 1. It's like, he's thinking, it's like, chapter 1 concerning hobbits.
And then he starts writing The Hobbit.
About exactly. Hobbits are a strange folk. Right? He gets all about hobbits.
And as he's talking about the hobbits, it's the camera's going through Hobbiton. It's going through the Shire, and it's showing these different hobbits going about their everyday lives.
Some are farming, right? They're plowing the field. Others are smoking a pipe. Others are sleeping.
Some are gardening.
He says some are lazy.
Mm-hmm.
Some like good ale, right?
But the one thing all hobbits have in common is they have a deep connection with the earth and things that are alive.
Right. And here's one of my favorite little additions of this movie, of all three of them, as it's going around talking about this, and especially when he's talking about this, it cuts to Sean Astin.
Yeah, he's in his garden.
He's looking at this plant he's about to put in the ground, and he's admiring this plant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's the only words you have
incredible.
Are this voiceover from Bilbo, Ian Holm, and you have Sean Astin there, whose character, as we'll find out shortly, is Samwise Gamgee. He's just admiring this plant. He loves the beauty of this plant.
And we find out not too long from now that he's a gardener.
Yes.
So it makes perfect sense that he would be admiring this plant.
And in fact, he is the gardener at Bag End, where Bilbo lives.
Yep.
With his dad.
Well, Frodo lives with his uncle, Bilbo.
Yes. Sam and his dad, the gaffer.
Yes, Sam and the gaffer.
But we can get into that later. Right? And it's talking about, but it's just like, they enjoy smoking pipeweed and the ale. And but they also they find it's no small thing to celebrate a simple life, right? And then you see that there's a group that are setting up for this party, right? You have tables out, tents, right? And then
it's a big party.
They're hoisting this massive banner, right? That's going to be on these two huge, almost like these tree trunks with a banner spanning across them, where they're having to hoist up trunks and the banner together, right? And you see this one lady hobbit. She sees it. It looks perfect. She gets excited. She claps her hands.
Yeah.
Right? And it says, "Happy birthday, Bilbo Baggins."
And I mean, the size of this thing, this is a huge party. It's a borderline shindig.
Yes.
So
Perfect use of the word.
I mean, this is like the entire town is invited.
So, but as it cuts from that scene, it gets back to Bilbo, and you see him there, and he's writing this. There's a knock at the door, and he seems irritated. He's like, Frodo, could you get that? And Frodo, he hears our response. He's like, Frodo! And now that cuts to Elijah Wood.
Mm-hmm.
Under the tree.
Under the tree. With some straw in his mouth.
He's got some straw. He's reading a book, right? He's wearing suspenders with his pants and his shirt. And here's some music. And he hears it, and a smile comes to his face, and he gets excited.
Mm-hmm.
He puts down his book. He runs. The smile gets bigger because he sees who's coming down the road.
He sees this cart with this old man in gray robes and a big pointy hat.
he comes, so like where he meets the road is kind of like this like a hill, right? It's a nice kind of little, it's a good, it's kind of cut off, right? It's not like even, you can't walk straight down this hill, right? It's cut straight down. He crosses his arms. He's like, "You're late." And then Magneto pulls all the magnets out of him and just completely kills him. He's dead because Magneto's just like that. Sometimes you piss him off, and if you have any blood fillings in you, you're fucked.
Yep, you never mess with Magneto.
No. No, he looks up at him with his big pointy hat.
Bushy beard.
A wizard is never late, Frodo Baggins. Nor is he early.
He arrives precisely when he means to. And then they both laugh. Yeah, they both kind of stare. They're trying not to laugh, and then they just let loose, and they both start laughing.
And then Frodo just jumps into his arms.
Jumps into his arms. And this is where you can see the size difference. Hobbits are very short.
They're short.
Are very short.
Yes.
And Gandalf, though he looks like a man, he's not a man. He's a wizard. But he is the same size as a man.
Yes. And not, they're definitely on the above average end of height for men.
Yes.
Right?
And so this is where a lot of, camera tricks come in. This is where the forced perspective really, like this whole sequence coming up.
This whole sequence. So what he is riding, he's got a cart, right? And he's sitting at the front of it. He's got a little wagon behind it, which we're going to find out soon has fireworks in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's being pulled by like a mule, right? And they do a great job of making it look like they are sitting side by side.
Yeah.
But when in reality is Elijah Wood is sitting, technically he's sitting behind, not directly behind, but he's sitting further back in this cart than Ian McKellen.
Yeah.
And it looks like the same, like just like it would be in the front seat of a car.
Yeah.
Right. But really, it's like he's actually in the back seat, and you take out the passenger seat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's actually in that back, back passenger side seat
to make him look smaller. But there's also for the shots from outside of, from the farther away shots of the cart where they have to look like they're right next to each other. They have a double. For Elijah Wood.
And there's actually a good shot of it is actually when you see him staring at, before he jumps into the cart, you just see him from behind.
Yes.
That is a double.
Mm-hmm.
He was actually a short person.
Yeah. All the main hobbits in this movie, in this series, they had a double for them for those times when they have to show them right next to the average size humans characters.
Mm-hmm.
so that they can show
along with John
size
Rice
difference.
Davies, who plays
Yes.
a dwarf.
Yes.
And who, by the name dwarf, implies that he will be shorter.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so they actually had a double for him too. And of this cast, and the main cast that we've talked about, ironically, he was the tallest of all of them.
Tallest, yes. I always thought that was funny. They picked John Rhys Davies to play a dwarf. He was amazing.
He is great. And then, as we discover in Two Towers, they cast in the voice somebody else who is even taller than him.
Mm-hmm. But we'll get to that when we get to that movie.
He gets to play short and tall.
Yep.
But we'll get to that. So they begin talking, about, Gandalf's like, you didn't think I'd miss your Uncle Bilbo's birthday, right? And, Frodo just starts talking about, like, half the Shire's been invited, and the other half will show up anyway. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, Gandalf says, like, I hear it's going to be something that's going to be of great magnificence. But while they're talking, they are cutting between the two of them in scenes with Bilbo back in the house, right? Because at this point, there's a scene where he's, like, desperately trying to find something. It's like, where is it? And he's starting to get upset about finding this, right? And he's going through drawers and picking up these papers and putting them in different places, trying to find something.
Yeah.
He finally hits his pocket
and he
pulls
feels
it out, and it's a ring.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It cuts back to them, and and Frodo's like, he's up to something, I think. He's taking locking himself away and looking at old maps. And Gandalf is just trying to stay mum about it. You could tell by his facial expression that he's right, but I'm not going to say anything.
Yep.
And Frodo's like, all right, you keep your secrets. It's like, but have before you came along, us Bagginsons were well respected.
You can go on any adventures.
You can go on any adventures. It's like, if you were referring to the incident with the dragon,
I was barely involved.
I was barely involved. Really, Gandalf? Are you sure about that? All I did was give your uncle a little push out the door. Along with a bunch of dwarves. I love that little nod back to The Hobbit, though, right?
Yes, me too.
You don't if you have no idea what they're talking about, it's okay. Like, oh, it's just a mystery. Like, it's some shenanigans, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But if you know The Hobbit, like, you chuckle at it. It's like, right? It's kind of, again, we're seeing this great view of the New Zealand hills, right? And the music's great. You're seeing all these little hobbit holes and smoke coming out these chimneys, and then people gardening. And then you see these little hobbit children running. They're like, Gandalf! Right?
Yep.
And they come up behind them into the cart. It's like, fireworks, Gandalf, fireworks, fireworks, fireworks.
And he gives them this very disapproving look. Now, meanwhile, while the kids are all running out there, there's a couple of hobbits. There's an older hobbit that's standing there that's just glaring at Gandalf.
He's glaring at him. And he's kind of like, it looks like he's kind of like raking some like leaves and some other stuff around his little hobbit hole. Because hobbits live in a hole.
And his wife comes out.
Hills.
And his wife comes out, stands next to him.
She's really upset seeing Gandalf. And she's like, she's got her hands on her hips. And finally Gandalf decides, he gives in, gives a little fireworks. That's, he sends a small little show.
Because we find out that this cart is full of fireworks.
Yeah.
And so he just sends a bunch of fireworks up.
And at first they're a little bit, they think he's not going to do it. They're
kind of upset. So then he kind of smiles and he starts laughing and he sets off the fireworks. And because Gandalf loves kids.
Like, oh, ho, ho, ho.
Because Gandalf loves making kids happy.
He's Santa Claus with a pointy hat.
Yes, Santa Claus with a pointy hat.
And a gray robe instead of a red one.
And he's not as fat. He's skinny.
We got Darth Vader with spikes.
And we got a skinny gray Santa.
Santa.
We got a skinny gray Santa with a pointy hat.
And no reindeer.
So when the fireworks go off and the kids all start cheering.
But Darth Vader has reindeer.
Yes, he does.
Anyway.
Yeah, but when the fireworks go off and the kids get all excited and they're laughing and dancing around, and the old man, the old hobbit, he starts to chuckle a little bit.
He smiles.
Then he looks over and sees his wife, who's still just glaring and just has this sour look on her face, and he just puts his face back like he had it before, with a big scowl.
How dare he give them fireworks? They could have blown off a thumb. And so finally Frodo gets to where he wants to go. It's like, I'm glad you're back, Gandalf. Gandalf's like, so am I, dear boy. So am I. Anyway, so Gandalf arrives at Bilbo's residence.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
He knocks
he opens up the gate.
Well,
he opens the gate, and it's like there's no admittance except on party business.
Yes, there's a sign that says no admittance except on party business,
which is directly from the book.
Yes. And so he goes up.
He goes knocks on the door. It's a big green circular door with the doorknob in the center, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he just knocks with his staff, right?
And then you hear Bilbo. He yells out, "I don't want any more well-wishers. Distant relations, partygoers, or distant relations." And then
he's grumpy, like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then Gandalf just says, "How about very old friends?"
And the door opens, and Ian Holm is there. He's like, Gandalf? And right now, the camera's from behind Gandalf,
mm-hmm.
looking down at Ian Holm, right? And it's like, it is you, Gandalf. It's like, it's wonderful to, again, it's like, it's so great to see you. And Ian McKellen and Gandalf can sit on one knee. They give, each, nice, friendly bro hug.
Yeah.
And it cuts, now it's from behind, Bilbo, it's Gandalf, and Gandalf's looking at him. And I like it because it's a close up on Ian McKellen's face, right? He's like, yeah, 111 years old. He barely aged a day. Right? And you look at Ian Holm, like, yeah, he looks like he's probably like 65.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And they come in, right? So he comes in and he takes his big pointy hat. And his staff. Right? And here's the other thing that's like really amazing about this movie. Like, so he lives in, Hobbiton is where Bilbo lives.
Mm-hmm.
The name of his hobbit hole.
Well, no, his hobbit hole is named Bag End. Hobbiton is the town.
Bag End, yes.
The Shire is the region. Hobbiton is the town.
Bag End, yes.
Bag End is the house.
Yes, the Bag End is his hole. But they built 2 Bag Ends.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They built one really large one. Right?
And one really small one.
And one really small one. And then they spliced it together in terms of these scenes, right? Mm-hmm. So the small one, right? That's where they spliced in the scenes that really focused on Ian McKellen.
Well, the small one was when they focused on Gandalf on Ian McKellen. And the other one was Ian Holm for the big Bag End. 2 Ians.
Yes, the 2 Ians. And he's like, I can make you a spot of tea. Oh, how about some wine from the old vineyard? 1296, very good year, right? He's so excited to have Gandalf back and be hosting him, right? And he's offering these things, and
he's
Gandalf's
getting
looking
out the
all
bread
around.
and cheese,
It's like, just tea will do, thank you. Yeah, he's getting these bread. It's like, you don't mind if I get some, right? But like, I like how, like, he's, again, here's the small set. We got Ian McKellen on, and he's the only one on screen right now because Bilbo, he's gone off. He's trying to find food for his guests.
Yeah.
Right? He's being a very hospitable host.
Yeah.
And, I love it. And so, I mean, this is stuff, a couple of these things happen like unscripted, right? So, like, he backs up, he hits his head on this little chandelier, right? And he's fumbling around with it, trying to make sure that, it's fine. Then he turns around and bumps his head on the top,
on the rafters.
There's not really doors into the different rooms in here. Like there's curved archways that go to the different areas in the house, right? And he bumps his head on one of them. And wasn't scripted, but right, Ian McKellen turned around because it's a small set and just bumped his head on it.
And then he played it off.
It's like the stormtrooper.
Yes. The stormtrooper in New Hope.
And I was like, oh. But yeah, Ian McKellen brings in the bread, puts in the tea, right? And the talking, and it's like, well, Frodo expects something, right? It's like, of course he does. He's a Baggins, right? Not some blockhead, right? You can tell like he has a certain point of view on different families of hobbits across the Shire.
Yeah.
Some he respects more than others. Right? And then, we get a knock on the door, and this time it's some of his relations that he does not want to deal with because they're waiting for him to die.
The Sackville Bagginses.
They want to take over Bag End.
The Sackville Bagginses.
And he looks at Gandalf. He's like, I'm not at home. It's like, I gotta get away from these distant relations. They're just hanging on to me. Right? And he looks and he sits down and he's like, you can tell, like, all of a sudden, like, he's been jovial this entire time, and all of a sudden, like, he's like, something's been hitting him. He's like, I'm old, Gandalf.
All of a sudden, he has this weight on his shoulders. It's like, I'm old,
and while
Gandalf.
He's doing this, he is
stretched.
kind of like, his hand's not in his pocket, but it's touching something on the outside of his shirt of the pocket. Yeah. He's touching the thing that's in the pocket.
Yeah. And I love this line. This comes straight from the book. And he says, I'm old, Gandalf. I feel old. I feel stretched.
I mean,
like butter spread over too much bread.
Yeah. Such a great visual on that, right? Like, that's a perfect way of describing something like that, right? And, Gandalf's doing, I love what Gandalf does here, too. He's not saying anything. He's just listening. He's listening to his friend talk about this. And he's like, it's like, I need a holiday, Gandalf, a very long holiday. And I don't think I intend to come back. In fact, I mean not to. And so the next thing that comes up is one of the first things that, besides the like intro, that really stuck out to me for whatever reason when I first watched it, because it's kind of a funny little sight gag, I guess. They're talking, they're smoking their pipes.
Yep. Yep, they're smoking their pipes out on they're sitting outside on the hill, looking over Hobbit.
And, you can tell like the sun's just kind of gone down. It's like the early evening still. And he's like, "Oh, old Toby, the finest weed in the South Furling," right? And then Bilbo blows a smoke ring, a perfect circle.
Perfect smoke ring. It's a big smoke ring too.
It's big too, yes.
And then Gandalf has to show him up. He has to use his wizard skills. And
you could blow a perfect circle? I could top that. Hold my beer.
So Gandalf, he, takes a puff on his pipe. You see his lips kind of work a little bit. And he blows out a ship. A smoke ship.
It passes through the smoke ring.
Through the smoke ring. And then they both just laugh.
And Bilbo's like, Gandalf, my old friend, this will be a night to remember. And then their friend Doug ends up on top of a casino.
Yes. Their friend Doug ends up on top of a casino, and they find another Doug who's like, I'll be your Doug.
Our Doug is a hobbit. was hey
I did not think we were going to find a way to work The Hangover into this one, but we did it.
And the next, and then it just cuts to fireworks. Gandalf's setting off this nice stream of fireworks. I like this one. It's this big explosion. It's like these small little rockets that go over this lake, right? And people are having a good time. It's a birthday party, right?
Yeah.
And he has this nice music. You see this lady with curly hair dancing called Rosie, right? We don't know her name is Rosie yet, but
yeah, she's,
and this is a nice long, there's several minutes because they're going about this scene. You're following Bilbo, you're following Gandalf, you're following Frodo, and we're going to be introduced to a few new characters.
Yes. So there are two hobbits that are going around, two mischievous hobbits.
Right, because most of we follow Gandalf. I mean, we follow Bilbo. He's going around. He's talking to different people, and he sees his one of the scenes extras like, "Oh, you have been productive, right?" 'Cause she has little 9 hobbit children.
Yep.
He avoids the Saxonville Bagginsons again with Frodo. But yeah, there's these 2 other hobbits we get introduced to. Go ahead.
Yeah, so they are getting into the back of Gandalf's cart where all of his fireworks are. And they take the biggest one. It's one that's shaped like a dragon.
Yep. And they don't know, they don't still know what it looks like, but you see the one gets in the car, the other one's standing outside of it. He's kind of standing guard. He's looking, like, no, the big one, that big one, right? The old one like, no, the big one.
Yeah. So
and then
he grabs the big one.
It's like, oh,
and it's shaped like a dragon, and they take it into a tent.
Yeah. Well,
why do they take it into a tent?
I don't know. Before they take it in the tent, like they cut from them for a minute, right? Before they light it. And then we cut to the first time we act in a theatrical cut. This will be the first time we actually see Samwise Gamgee, Sean Astin, right? Because he's sitting at a table, he's drinking his ale with Frodo, right? And he's looking at this girl dancing. You can tell he's obviously he likes her.
He's got a crush on her.
He's smitten, right? And then you see Frodo.
And she looks at him and she smiles.
Yeah, she smiles. And she's doing this nice dance, right? It's like, Frodo's like, go ask Rosie for a dance. It's like, I think I'll go get another ale.
I think I'll go get another.
It's like, as a good friend, I was like, no, you don't. He pushes him into the dance, and Rosie finds his art.
Yep.
And
yep, it's their very own. Have you met Ted? Have you met Sam?
Have you met Sam? Sam, suit up. And he suits up as an orc Oliphant. That's really getting ahead.
Pushes him onto the dance floor, and Rosie comes up and dancing, and they're sort of.
She's it's a quick kind of dancing around.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those community dancing. Where everybody's dancing with everybody. They're not paired off, but they sort of link arms, and they're kind of going around in circles, and then they pass on to the next person. And
I mean, given Tolkien was from England, it has a very kind of like almost kind of like Scottish flair to the music a little bit, right? There's a good way to describe it. But then it cuts back again to, as you said, I guess one of the additional scenes that's in there, so as Bilbo is talking with Frodo, right? Is Bilbo's, it's like, I don't know why I took you in at first, Frodo. Right? I don't think it was because, I had a big heart, right? Or something to that effect. It's like, but, I think of all my relations, you're the one that showed the most promise, right? And Frodo's looking at us like, what are you talking about,
It's like,
it's like, have you been
You've been getting into the gaffer's pipe weed, haven't you?
And
Or,
Bill was
yeah,
like,
the gaffer's
like,
special
well,
stock.
no, yes,
Yeah.
but that's not what I'm talking
You've been
about.
getting the gaffer's special stock, haven't you?
And you can tell, like, he's wanting to tell Frodo he's about to leave, but he doesn't do it. Right. So then, yeah, we finally get the scene back in the tent, and like, yes, they put it into the ground of this tent, and it's not a big tent either.
It's not even like they don't even stick it into the ground. They're kind of just holding it on the ground.
Yes,
holding
it's like
the stick on the ground.
But they light it, and then it's like, yeah, that's the thing. They start fighting, like, you stick in the ground. No, you stick in the ground. No, you stick it in the ground. Meanwhile, the fuse is going.
Yeah. And then it lights and it shoots up in the air and they both get blown back onto their backs. And this thing takes the tent with it, goes up into the air and it explodes. And this big fiery dragon shows up in the sky.
And then, yep. And everyone, and all of a sudden it starts swooping down like at ground level.
And everybody thinks that it's a real dragon. Everybody's freaking out. Yeah, they're screaming.
The first time they see the explosion, like, oh wow, that looks cool, and it becomes a dragon. Like oh shit, and they start running. And Frodo sees it. He's like, Bilbo, right?
Bilbo the dragon.
Like, Bilbo, dragon. It's like, there hasn't been a dragon around here for 1,000 years.
And then he turns around and he sees it. Oh, dragon.
They hit the ground and skims right over all these hobbits.
And then it flies up over the pond
towards this lake,
and and then blows up into several big fireworks.
It's huge, right? Yeah, and everyone's like, "Oh yes!" Everyone's excited. And then it cuts back. We see those two hobbits. And their hair's sticking up. They got soot all over their face.
All over the faces. And Gandalf
and then a hand
shows
comes down
up,
and
grabs
pulls their ears.
And we hear Gandalf
Mariotic Brandybuck.
Mariotic Brandybuck and Peregrine Took.
I might have known. And it cuts to this scene, and it's Gandalf. He's drinking his ale. He's smoking. And he has the two of them doing all the dishes.
Yes, they're doing all the dishes for the party.
And then Gandalf shows up. He's kind of, at the center of kind of the dining area. And everyone's like, speech. And so he comes up. He's ready for his speech.
And I love this. Just the slur in his speech when he's welcoming everybody for his 111th birthday.
Because he's been having plenty of ale. But I love this scene because, like, it's from the book. It's from the animated movie. So there's stuff in the animated movie they actually put into this, which I think is great.
Yep.
It's like, my wonderful hobbits, right? I just put it into Google. Bilbo's speech birthday. A masterful, slightly tipsy farewell, where he declares his immense fondness for hobbits. Slightly tipsy. It's like, my dear people, my dear Bagginsons and Boffins, my dear Tooks and Brandybucks. And you see, like, as he says these names, they're all cheersing him, right?
Yep.
Grubs, Chubs, Boruses, Hornblowers, Bulgers, Brace Girdles, Good Bodies, Brockhouses, and Proudfoots. I love the guy.
And then the guy,
Proud feet.
It just shows from the ground. It's just his giant feet with this guy sort of reclining. This older guy kind of reclining, like, proud feet. And that is a shot from the animated.
That's from the animated,
like
right?
that shot from the ground showing his big feet.
Yep.
It's like a shot from the animated one in the 70s.
Yeah, that's a great. I love how, like, Peter Jackson saw it. It's like, I have to bring this into this movie, and they did, right? It's not something that's directly in from the books, not something they wrote themselves. They just picked it up from the animated movie and placed it in, and it's perfect because it's comical, it's funny, it's a good visual gag. It works perfectly for it, right? And there's this giant cake, and it's funny, this giant cake of all these candles are burning. Like the actual cake caught on fire.
Yeah.
Because they put 111 candles on this fucking cake. So, excuse the language, I'm sorry, but
yeah.
And he's like, I welcome back. So he's like, today is my 111th birthday, right? And people are like, happy birthday. They're raising their steins and mugs and glasses. And he's like, first of all, I want to tell you that, I'm immensely fond of you all. And that 11 years is too short a time to live among such excellent and admirable hobbits. And they're all touched.
Mm-hmm. By an angel.
Then he's like, I don't know half of you half as well as I should like. I like less than half of you half as well as you deserve.
And then a gasp goes through the crowd.
It goes over like
everybody's kind of confused.
All their heads. And I love Gandalf. Gandalf has a little smirk. He's smoking his pipe. He's like, he gets it. Right? And then he starts thinking, right? So the book, his speech is a little bit longer than the movie. Right? And he's going around and like he's got his hands behind his back.
Yeah. And in his hands, he's sort of fiddling with the ring.
And he's like, I regret to announce that this is the end. I'm going now. Goodbye.
And he slips the ring on his finger and disappears.
That's again, everyone gasp. Frodo's like, oh! And then he cuts to Gandalf, and Gandalf's like, poof. I love that. Hey, if our friend Tim Robinson there, he would have just went.
Yep. So then we see the sidewalk going up to Bag End. We see that closed gate, and it opens with nobody opening it, or we don't see who's opening it.
Yeah.
And then the door to Bag End opens up. And then we get an interior shot of from Bag End, and Bilbo reappears.
He reappears, and he laughs. He flips the ring and with his thumb, catches it. He laughs, puts it back in his pocket. It's like, ha, ha, ha. And he walks into his next room.
And Gandalf is
Ian
there.
McKellen is there.
Ian McKellen
Gandalf
is waiting for him. So when did he get there? He used his wizardry to
teleport. He's like, there are many magic rings in this world, Bilbo Baggins, and none of them should be used lightly. He's like, it was just a bit of fun. Oh, you're probably right. It's like, so I'm going to I'm going to go with the elves. So look at the elves. Like, it's like, I suppose this ring is going with you. It's like, yes, it's over there on a mantelpiece. Right?
Yeah, it's in an envelope on the mantle.
I'm leaving everything to Frodo.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Gandalf, he's concerned about this ring.
Yes.
So he goes over the mantelpiece because there's a fire going in the fire,
There's nothing on the mantle.
There's nothing there. It's like, oh, wait, no. It's here in my pocket. And he pulls it out and he stares at it.
And he's like, why shouldn't I keep it?
It came to me. It's mine. It's my own.
My precious.
And this is interesting. I love the work they do here with the face, with the camera work. He
kind of gets this little snarl on his face. And he's like, my precious.
He's been this cheerful guy before, and to make sure he's really scrounges his face up. He doesn't have this big, it's not like and he just, how he says it, and how they do the music with it. It's like,
and he kind of strokes the ring a little bit, kind of pets it.
Yes. And Gandalf's like, my precious, it's been called that before, but not by you. And that really sets off Bilbo. He's like, what is it to you? By the way, there's other little details in this movie that are kind of cool, like within the Bag End. I mean, they fill it with everything, right? like, again, we talked about earlier, like there's books and maps and all these papers scattered
Mm-hmm.
about. Above the fireplace there, on the mantelpiece, are two pictures,
Yes.
and they are of Peter Jackson and his wife, Fran Walsh.
Yep. Yep. But they're supposed to be Bilbo's parents.
But they're supposed to be Bilbo's parents, exactly.
Yep.
And then Bilbo gets up, like, well, what is it to you? You want it for yourself.
And then I love this because so Gandalf this whole time, because he's been in the Hobbit hole, and there's been low ceilings for him and everything. He's been hunched over. He stands up straight and lets out a bellowing, "Bilbo Baggins!
Do not take me for some conjurer
of cheap tricks."
And he's standing erect.
Mm-hmm. And the lights have gone down, and the fire from the fireplace is kind of
there's like this wind
going crazy, and it's like
coming through,
blowing his beard a little bit, slightly like Nick Cage's hair.
I am not trying to rob you.
I'm trying, and then
which is like if you know the book, if you know the Hobbit, you know the reference.
Yeah, and then his demeanor gets a little softer, and he kind of hunches down a little bit more, a little again, and
he's back to
his face, his facial features, they get softer and more and kinder. And he says, "I'm trying to help you."
For all these long years, you've trusted me. Trust me as you once did. Right? And so I was like, oh. And then Bilbo gives a little whimper. He's like, get off.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And he goes
kind
in
of
and
leaves
hugs
they hug, kind of gives the instructions. It's like, yeah, I left everything for Frodo. And he's got his walking stick. He's ready to go.
And he opens up the door. He's about to walk out, and Gandalf stops him. He's like, "Bilbo, the ring.
Still in your pocket." It's like, and Gandalf and Bilbo thinks, oh, isn't that funny? And then he goes back in his pocket,
and he just holds it,
and he looks at it
with his hand, and just slowly rotates his hand.
I love how they just do a slow motion of his hand,
just slowly rotates, and the ring
rotates his hand.
You can tell the ring's trying to cling to him. It's trying to hang on.
I love the personality they give the ring. They give a ring a fucking personality in these movies.
Yes, they do. But yeah, and so the ring's trying to hold on, but it doesn't, and it falls. And I love when it hits the ground. Like normally,
it's a big thud.
Just a thud. If you would drop a ring, it would bounce, and like
it'd bounce, or it'd roll a little bit, it would go.
But no, this thing just falls,
kind of go side to side. And like the music just go out, boom, right?
Because there's so much power in this ring. It has a weight to it.
And it's funny. It's like there's this weight, like this big weight that's been on Frodo, on Bilbo that he's had for so long, and it's just off now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so Gandalf follows him outside. Right? And he goes out the gate. Before he gets to the gate, he stops. It's like, I thought of an ending for my book. And he turns around. I was like, and he lived happily ever after.
To the end of his days.
End of his day. And Gandalf's like, I'm sure you will, old friend. I'm sure you will. And they give a little hug. Bilbo leaves, he goes down the hill,
singing.
And he's singing, "The road goes ever on." Right? I mean, like, there's music in this movie. There's songs in this movie, but they don't capture the songs that are actually in the book. But that's in the book.
Yep.
Well, so Gandalf goes back in. Ring's still on the ground. I love this scene too, this shot, right? So he comes in, and it's like it's from the perspective of the ring.
Yeah.
And Gandalf is, again, this should be it's a hobbit hole.
Yeah.
But he's towering over this ring.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And he goes down to pick it up, and he gets ever so close. Like, this is a really awesome detail.
Yes, I love it.
He never touches the ring. He gets about as close as he can to picking it up. And then this fiery eye just shows up.
You just see this flash, this fiery eye. And then he kind of
pulls his hand
back.
Right?
And he leaves the ring there.
And then you see him sitting next to the fireplace. There's a fire going, and he's smoking his pipe, and it's like riddles in the dark. And he's just kind of talking to himself out loud, contemplating. When Frodo walks in, he's like, Bilbo! Right? And he looks over, he sees Gandalf sitting by the fireplace, and he looks down, and he sees the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And he picks it up.
Yeah, he picks it up. He just reached out, picks it up. Like it's nothing.
Like it's nothing. Like it's just a regular ring.
Like Bilbo's ring. And Gandalf is like,
he's left the back end. Along with all his other possessions. And I like how he has an envelope ready.
Yes, he has an envelope ready.
Frodo's going to come through that door and pick up that ring.
Uh-huh. So he holds out the envelope, and Frodo puts the ring in the envelope, and then Gandalf closes it up, puts a wax seal on it, and then he gives it back to Frodo and tells him, keep it secret, keep it safe.
And then he gets his big pointy hat.
Big pointy hat.
His staff. And he's like, I got to go. He's like, and Frodo's like, what? You only just arrived. It's like, I got questions that need answering. Right? And so, no. And again, he reiterates, keep it secret, keep it safe. Right? And Frodo, he's holding the envelope with the ring in it, and he's not quite sure what to make of all of it. And then music swells up a bit. Right? And now the music's like kind of like more foreboding type music. Right? And we're in Mordor, which is the land where Sauron lives. Right? And we go into this big black castle. Right?
It's a castle.
And you can see this mountain in the distance, and there's like fire shooting out of it, right?
Could that be Mount Doom? It looks like it could be a Mount Doom. So we see these.
But yes, it's Mount Doom. Anyway, go on.
These orcs, and they're strapping this scrawny little creature to this table.
You just see these little withered hands going up in the air, and like the fingers are like, you can tell, like they're in pain.
Yeah,
and it shouts out two words:
Shia Buggins.
And then they get a different foreboding, like vocal music. It's like, oh, right? And we cut to a different dark foreboding castle. But this one has a little bit of a greenish glow to it.
Mm-hmm.
And these black horses, these black figures on them just go bursting out of it, right?
Yeah.
And then it cuts to Gandalf now, right? And he's riding this horse, right? And he's approaching, he's on this like kind of this hill crest, and you see these mountains in the distance. There's some fire coming up behind them. Like, oh, well, that might be Mount Doom beyond that, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, it must be the direction of Mount Doom.
And it seems like this, like, I love it. Like, it's almost like this kind of like the setting sun to the other side of like this big walled fortress city that's like going up this big mountaintop. And it's white. And he goes in there, and he's walking down these corridors, and he goes in this building, and there's this guy that has this torch that's leading him down into these bowels of something. It's like this library, right?
Old library.
He's pouring over these books.
Libraries have torch guys anymore?
I don't
They don't have
know.
torchmen that lead you down into the bowels of the library with a torch.
Hey, torch guy, or as I seen, like the credits actually credit him as I think Gondor archivist.
Yes, I think that's right. Yes, Gondorian archivist. Michael Ellsworth.
Ellsworth.
Yes, Michael
You are an
Ellsworth.
unsung hero in this movie.
Yes, you are, Michael Ellsworth.
If you directed Gandalf to the appropriate writings of Isildur
Mm-hmm.
that alerted Gandalf of what this ring is.
Yes.
If not for you,
Yes.
Gandalf's like, that's not the one ring.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave for alone.
Yep. Let him,
So
disappear whenever he wants.
Gondorian archivist, we raise a glass to you. Remember the old Bud Light, Real Men of Genius?
Yes.
Guess what?
That's
You're
you.
one of them.
Mm-hmm. So now this segment of the movie, the movie doesn't do a really good job of showing the passage of time.
No, it doesn't.
In the
Which
books,
I get.
Gandalf's whole research trip here takes years. It takes like 17 years, something like that.
I'm going to say, we're not talking 3, 4, 5 years. No. Enough time for someone to graduate from high school.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning enough time for someone to be born and graduate from high school.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I get that's not the easiest thing to translate onto the screen. But yeah, because he goes through the things and he sees, he still will talk about the ring that he pulled from Sauron, and talks about, the writing that was once as clear as red flame now fades, right? Gandalf realizes what
Which
it
can
is.
only be read, it can only be visible in fire.
Yeah, in fire. And so as soon as he realizes this, I love this scene. So like, okay. So then we see one of those black riders. He pulls up and there's this dog, and this dog is barking. And this is a good dog. A dog that you would want guarding your house.
Yeah.
This dog is scared shitless by this rider. His owner's out there just splitting wood for the fire.
Yep.
Right? When the black rider shows up and you just hear, Shire Baggins. It's like there's no Baggins around here.
They're up in Hoppiton.
And this character it actually is in the book, and he's a larger role in the book.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay, but like he gets the fuck into his house. Yeah. He's like, I'm going to my hobbit hole.
His house. I mean, his house is just a regular house. It's not a hobbit hole.
It's a regular house. It's a regular house. Right. And then it cuts to a nice little pub or inn in Hobbiton. And this is the scene where it gets a slightly longer than the theatrical cut. We have Mariotic and Peregrine. As we discover, they're really they go by Merry and Pippin.
Yeah, Merry and Pippin. Mariotic,
they are
Brandybuck,
singing
and Peregrine too.
And dancing on a table in this pub. They're having fun.
Mm-hmm. And Frodo and Sam are sitting at a table drinking ale.
And I this is one scene I kind of wish actually would have been in the theatrical cut, because it only would have added like 30 seconds to the movie.
Yeah.
At least the scene with them dancing.
Yeah.
Because there's a couple other things that happen here too.
They're singing and dancing.
I think there's a nice part of this where like it starts to kind of cut a little bit of that tension.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And introduces like that the hobbits are having fun.
Yep.
Oblivious to everything around them.
Yep.
And then
and we get a little bit more ale. A little bit more, eyes between Sam and Rosie.
Yep. And then because he's sitting there with Sam, with Frodo. His dad, the gaffer, is at this table. There's another guy, and people talk. Someone's just mentioned like, there's talk of strange folk abroad, and someone's like, "Oh, you're sounding like that Bilbo Baggins, crafty guy that was, right? They're talking things, and Frodo and Sam are just kind of, they're amusing the conversation, and then, but again, Sam's eye catches the bartender or the barmaid, who's Rosie.
Mm-hmm.
She's cleaning the glasses, right? And
She looks over and smiles.
yep. And they walk out. It's the end of the evening. Bar's closing. Someone else is like, "Good night, fair maiden." They're like, "Mine, who you're sweet talking."
Yeah, mine, who you're sweet talking. He doesn't say it to him, but he kind of says it under his breath.
And Frodo's like, "Don't worry, Sam. Rosie knows an idiot when she sees one." And he looks like, "Does she?
Does she?"
And you think it's like, and he kind of like, I love how you could kind of interpret it like he's thinking like, I'm an idiot, and she can see an idiot, so she's not going to go after me.
Yep. Yep.
But it cuts up, we're getting to Bag End, and Frodo goes through the gate, waves goodbye to Sam. He walks in, and the windows are open, and it's dark. There's no fire in the fireplace, and he senses something's amiss.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's papers kind of floating because the windows are open. The wind's coming through. There's a breeze. He's looking around, and then a hand comes out
and grabs him.
Goes on the shoulder, grabs him.
And it's Gandalf.
Is it secret? Is it safe? And I love how, once he kind of realizes this passage of time, he goes to some chest, and he's just taking crap out of it.
He's taking crap
at the bottom of some chest.
Bottom of the chest, he pulls out this envelope with a wax seal on the back.
Because he's like, I remember that conversation from 18 years ago.
And Gandalf, real quick, builds a fire in the fireplace.
He throws it in there. The paper and the wax seal melt. And then, Gandalf gets a little poker to prongs to grab this ring.
Mm-hmm. And he holds it out.
And he's like, Frodo, put out your hand. Frodo's like, I'm not putting out my hand.
He's like, don't worry, it's quite cool. Yes, I'm sure it's awesome, but not that cool. Cool isn't cold.
He just drops it in his hand. It's like, Gandalf kind of walks away.
When he drops it in his hand, Frodo kind of reacts a little bit because he expects it to be hot.
But it's quite cool.
It's quite cool. So then this is like the Fonz. Then he tells him to look at it and see if he sees anything on the ring.
Right. I love how Gandalf, he turns away. Like, he doesn't want to be seeing this. Like, he needs his back turned.
He's hoping that he's wrong in all this. In identifying this ring.
And Frodo's like, I see nothing.
And Gandalf gets this look of relief.
He's starting to breathe. And then Frodo says, like, wait a second. There's markings.
Looks like some form of Elvish. And Gandalf says it's not Elvish. It's the language of Mordor, which I dare not utter
Mordor.
Here.
Mordor's like, what the?
Language of Mordor. But I dare not utter it here.
In the common tongue, it means
one ring to rule them all. One ring to find them. One ring to bring them all. And in the darkness bind them.
I love how it just stills in his face. Like, Gandalf, Ian McKellen just delivers this really well.
Yeah, he does.
And it cuts to them. They're back at the main dining table. The ring is just sitting there, and Gandalf's smoking. Frodo's having a cup of cocoa.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, but Sauron is destroyed. Like, no. For Gandalf's like, no, like, this is the One Ring, right? And kind of goes to that
Forged in the fires of Mount Doom.
That backstory of what we did. Everybody's like, well, Sauron is destroyed. Because, like, no, the soul of Saruman lived on.
The soul of Sauron.
Like, they say, oh yes, sorry, thank you.
Saruman's a different character.
Yes, he'll show up very soon.
Yes.
It's like, he poured all his malice into here, and it's like, but he's gathering all his forces. He's ready to spread another darkness to spread all over Middle Earth. And Gandalf's brother's like, well, then we hide it. Put it where anyone can never find it, and we'll never speak of it again. And Gandalf's like, I have something to tell you about that.
Mm-hmm.
I searched everywhere for Gollum. But the enemy found him first.
They were able to get 2 words out of him.
Shire and Baggins. It's like, that will lead them here. Gandalf's like, no shit, that will lead them here. He gotta go.
Unless they found out who they sold the droids to, and then that would lead them back home. So they both get up in there real quick, running around trying to get Frodo's things packed for his journey.
And Gandalf's, packing up some food for him. He's like, leave for the village of Bree. I have to go see the head of my order. He is both wise and powerful. He'll know what to do. And Frodo accepts it. It's like, okay. It's like, all right, I go to Bree. I'll meet you there later.
Maybe they'll have some delicious cheeses.
I mean, yes. It's like, it's like, it's like, I can cut it cross country fast enough. And then, Gandalf looks like, hobbits really are amazing creatures. And you can learn so much about them. And after 100 years, you'll still find out more. Something to that effect.
Yeah. It's like you can live with them for hundreds of years and still know nothing about them.
So he gives him this thing, and he's about to show him out the door, but then they hear something out the window.
Hear something out the window in the bushes. And Gandalf just swings his staff down and bonks something on the head. Like, ow! Oh! And then Gandalf reaches out and pulls Samwise Gamgee up from the bushes.
It's like, oh, Samwise Gamgee, have you been eavesdropping?
I ain't been dropping no eaves,
sir.
What did you hear? Oh, well, nothing. I didn't hear nothing.
The eaves.
I did hear something about a ring and a Dark Lord, but
Dark Lord and the end of the world.
End of the world.
Please, but don't turn me into anything
unnatural.
Which makes you wonder: has Gandalf ever turned any hobbits into something unnatural?
I don't know. He might have turned one into a newt.
Gandalf's like, no, I thought of a better use for you.
And he sends him with Frodo.
And then, yep, they pull up this little donkey.
What's a pony?
It's like,
pull up a pony.
What's a pony?
Named Bill.
There's a pony. Bill shows a few times in the movie. Not nearly as often as he does in the book.
He's a major character in the book.
He is a major character in the book, yes.
But yeah, he only shows up a few times in the movie. But yeah,
and so then before Gandalf leaves him, he has Frodo's like, is it safe? Frodo puts his this time he has a little like breast pocket.
Mm-hmm.
He puts his hand next to it. Doesn't really feel or experience anything. Shakes his head. It's like, never put it on, Frodo. Agents of the Dark Lord will be attracted to it. And it's like, you have to be careful. The Dark Lord has many agents, birds, beasts, so on and so forth. Right. And he bids them farewell. Right. And Sam just looks at him like, I guess we gotta go.
So did Sam call the gaffer and tell him he was leaving town?
I always wanted to is the gaffer just going to wonder for the next 9 months? Where the fuck is Sam?
Sam went over to trim the hedges at Bag End in the middle of the night, and he never came home.
He just get really drunk and wandered into a stream. I don't know.
Ah, well, let's go break open that special stock.
But yeah, so Sam and Frodo walk off, and Gandalf rides off. Right, so after he's ridden off, right, Frodo, Sam, they exchange a look, and they step forward.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but now we can kind of cut away from their action and focus back on Gandalf again, right?
Yeah.
Because we get the nice big music, and we get this nice overhead shot. There's these white-capped mountains, and this giant, tall, black tower, right? And then we hear this other voice over, this new voice we haven't heard yet.
Yeah. And this other voice is the voice of Christopher Lee. He has a very distinctive voice.
He does yes, he does. Very distinctive voice. He's kind of perfect for this,
yes.
Actually, when you think about it. Not just because he's, as we mentioned, a huge Tolkien fan.
And knew Tolkien. But
yeah, he did. He's the only one that actually met him. Lends that gravitas to what this character demands.
Christopher Lee was an amazing actor.
Yes, he was. Very much underappreciated, almost kind of until almost later in life in some ways, in terms of truly how great he was.
I mean, he's a descendant of Charlemagne.
I mean, yes.
If you look at pictures of paintings of Charlemagne, he looks exactly like Christopher Lee.
It's amazing how that lineage just kind of, anyway. I remember.
He was a spy. He was a British spy, assassin.
Hey, maybe he's not dead. Maybe he's still being a British spy.
Maybe
doing assassin shit.
It's possible. It's possible. But yeah, Christopher Lee lived an amazing life.
He did. He could have been Batman's butler.
But no. He was too good for that. He was too good to be a butler. Nothing against butlers, but I mean, but he would have been a badass Alfred.
But just a great choice beyond just the voice. Yeah, he fits the role. Just like McKellen can embody Gandalf, Lee can embody Saruman. Right?
Yeah.
As we discover this, we see Gandalf get off his horse, and we see Saruman. He's Gandalf's in gray. Right? And Saruman is all in white, big white beard, but no pointy hat.
No pointy hat.
And we can kind of surmise that, okay, this is the who Gandalf was referencing back at Bag End, right?
Yeah. Saruman the White.
We cut.
So yeah,
Saruman the White.
So
his
hierarchy of wizards.
Isengard.
The hierarchy of wizards.
Yeah, go ahead. Yes, they don't really get into it.
Yeah, they don't really
mention it very briefly, but they kind of drop it.
So the White Wizard is the top wizard of the order. All right, so there are in Middle Earth there are 5 wizards. There's Saruman the White. He's the highest in the order. And then you have Gandalf the Grey, and you have Radagast the Brown, and then you have 2 blue wizards who are never really mentioned all that much in the trilogy.
No, you gotta dive deep into Tolkien mythology to really get into the blue wizards.
Yeah, but yeah, so there's a white, there's a gray, there's brown, and there's 2 blues.
Yep.
But yeah. So as far as the hierarchy goes, it's not really super. As far as the Lord of the Rings trilogy goes with the hierarchy of wizards, it doesn't really delve into the rankings of each color of wizard.
It doesn't.
But it does specify that the White Wizard is the main wizard of them all.
Yes.
He's basically the Pope of the wizards.
Yeah. Which is why he has his own little fortress and tower, right? So yeah, the fortress is really it's Isengard, but the tower that we see is Orthanc.
Yes, the tower is Orthanc. Right? Isengard is the region that it's in.
Which becomes far more of a prominent place in Two Towers. It's featured throughout this movie, but in terms of the importance of the tower and the fortress is more important in the Two Towers. So, but yeah, they're at the top. They're just hanging in Saruman's office, right?
Yeah. They're just chilling.
They're talking. They're chilling. They're catching up, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then, I guess before that, they're still kind of walking around, and Saruman's like, "So, you think the Ring of Power has been found? It's been in the Shire all this time." And Gandalf's like, "Oh, right under my nose." And and Saruman, he's gonna be the kind of the grumpy superior.
Because like, Gandalf's
it was
no
right
dummy.
Under your nose because you love the halfling leaf.
Yes, because Gandalf's no dummy.
Clearly slowed your mind.
He knows that it's been right under his nose. But he's not going to reveal this because he's no dummy. He trusts Saruman to a certain extent. He's the head of the order and all that. But still, Gandalf still likes to play things close to his chest.
Yep. Still gotta be wise. You gotta be wise still, right? But so yeah. Saruman's like, the love of that halfling leaf clearly slowed your mind. And now that's when they start chilling in the office.
Yeah. Smoking some halfling leaf.
And he talks about how, there's this eye of Sauron that sees all. It can penetrate anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Gandalf's just thinking, you can tell Gandalf is, he's trying to take in what Saruman's saying, but then reflecting himself on the entire situation. Right? And then he starts talking about how, we had time to, counter Sauron, right? And Saruman's like, what time do you think we have? The hour is later than you think. And Sauron, not Sauron.
Saruman.
Gandalf's a little,
Gandalf.
Gandalf he's a little bit confused. He's like, well, how do you know this? I have seen it. And they kind of walk out of the office to this main room, and there's this kind of this pillar there's
this little pedestal.
This blanket.
There's this pedestal in the middle of the room that's got a cloth draped over it.
Just draped over it. And it looks like it's kind of a round thing. It looks like it's covering something round, right? Now, Gandalf immediately knows what this is.
Yes. And so they take off the cloth that's covering it, and it's this round, this spherical, looks like a crystal ball called a palantir.
Yep. Yeah. And Gandalf, I love how again, like if you know the books, you know the mythology, you know immediately what this is, right? If you're not, you can kind of surmise it, but they give you just enough to know enough about it to buy into it, right? He just calls it one of the lost seeing stones.
Yeah.
Right? So it gives it enough information. There's multiple of these that have been lost. Here, Saruman has one of them, and you can look into it like a crystal ball.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, basically you look into it and it shows you what you want to see.
Yep. And Gandalf is like, we don't know who may be watching.
Yeah.
And
so basically, So it basically like these palantirs or the seeing stones are connected to each other. So basically, you can look into one and see what is shown from another one. So if someone's looking into another one, you can see them in yours, kind of thing.
So if Robin Williams is holding this in 1 hour photo when he's imagining he's taking a poop, and you can see Robin Williams taking a poop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's how it works.
What? Okay.
That's how it works.
So yeah, Gandalf. Anyway,
but only if he's holding it in his daydream. when he's taking a poop.
Which I would think you'd have to be holding it and then have your daydream to have it be in a daydream. Anyway. How does that work?
I mean, if it's a daydream, all you have to do is think about holding it, and then you're holding it in your daydream. So,
yeah,
I don't know. Anyway, yeah, we are planning on doing that movie sometime. So if you don't know what we're talking about, you will.
So Gandalf kind of upgrades Saruman for using it, right? It's like, we don't know who's watching. Saruman's like, why should we fear you to use it? It's like, Gandalf's like, what are you talking about? It's like, no, the nine have left Minas Morgul. They will be in the Shire. They crossed the River Isen on Midsummer's Eve, right? And he kind of says like, they have reached the Shire, right? And Gandalf gets scared. He's thinking about, it's like, they will find the one who carries it and kill him. You don't really think that a hobbit could contend against the will of Sauron. There are none who can. And and Gandalf's like, Frodo, right? And in the middle of this, there's a quick scene they cut to, right? It's at nighttime. It's kind of foggy, and you hear these footsteps, right? Yeah. And you just see this guy. He's out for an evening stroll after his dinner.
He's just walking around. Not a care in the world. Just out for an evening stroll.
Holds up his lantern. He's like, who goes there? And out of the shadows comes a black rider with his sword, and he decapitates the dude.
He just
we don't see him get decapitated.
No, we don't. But we see him swing his sword, and it's swinging in a trajectory that would go right for the guy's neck to cut his head off.
So yeah.
So poor guy.
There's no reason. They could have just passed him by without chopping his head off.
Yeah. He's just out for an evening, an evening constitution. He's just out for a stroll.
Yeah. Poor dude.
Gets his head cut off by a Black Rider.
There's this guy and one other character in this movie that I feel for.
Mm-hmm.
Which, anyway. So we cut back over to really what at this point, this is like in his Saruman has his throne room, like his big throne in this central area too. He's just sitting there, and Gandalf tries to break for the exit, and Saruman just looks over at the door, shuts the door. Gandalf tries to get to the next one, shuts that one, and they all shut.
Yeah.
And he just looks at Gandalf like, you must join me, old friend. And against the will of Sauron, there's no victory.
And what's interesting about this part of the book, as opposed to the movie. So the movie, Saruman stays looking the same.
Yes.
But in the book, as soon as Gandalf realizes that Saruman is now serving Sauron, which, I mean, there's no way you could tell because they don't have similar names at all. Sauron and Saruman.
There's the Doom. Wonder what happens there.
Yeah.
Saruman. I wonder who he hangs with.
Yeah. So the thing with the book, when, at this part of the book where Gandalf realizes that Saruman is serving Sauron, Saruman's robes change from white to a rainbow colored. Like he's like many colors on his robe.
Yeah.
So he ceases to be the white wizard and becomes basically the rainbow wizard. Without being, named that. But but then the rest of the time, like the rest of the trilogy, when Sauron is around, he has multicolored robes.
The facade is dropped.
In the movies, he just stays in white the whole time.
There's a good point to this. There's a line that they bring up in the movies that can kind of help make you understand some of it in a way, I guess. But we'll get there. In Two Towers, that is.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he just gives him this one chance to join him, or yeah. But Gandalf just looks at him, and is like, since when did Saruman the Wise abandon reason for madness? Right? And now we get an old man wizard fight.
Yes. Old man wizard fight. They're like force throwing each other around with their staffs.
And I like, Saruman's staff. It almost looks like the top of Orthanc,
Yeah,
right?
it
With
does.
a little crystal pearl ball at the
Mhm.
top of it, right? And like sitting in the center
Yep.
of it, right? And Gandalf is really more like a gnarled roots of a tree at the top, is what it looks like.
Which
right?
what I love about Gandalf's
just
staff.
using their staves.
What I love about Gandalf's staff, by the way, is up at the top of it. There's a spot where he can put his pipe.
That's
he can store his pipe in his staff.
He's a resourceful wizard. What can I say?
Yeah.
And he can start to light it with his staff.
But yeah, so yeah, Gandalf's staff looks like it's
But
like a
we get
piece
to
of
a
a
point.
tree that just a walking stick basically that he carries around.
Yeah. And they're each delivering their own blows, right? Knocking each other back.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, he takes his staff. Gandalf takes his staff and it pushes Saruman through the door into his office area, right? But then, Saruman sits up, but then he's able to puts out his hand and just basically is able to force extract Gandalf's staff out of his hand. Gandalf loses it. Now he has both staffs. Now he's walking with both the staffs towards Gandalf, and he starts spinning Gandalf on his head.
I always thought this was hilarious because he's like Gandalf is laying on his side,
I love it.
and he's just spinning around in circles. The pivot point is his head. And he's just spinning around in circles.
His flowing robes, his long hair. And then Saruman just kind of starts lifting up his arms. Like, I gave you I gave you a choice here, but you have chosen pain, right? And he lifts him up and he starts spinning all the way up to the top
like a
of the
helicopter.
tower.
He's like flying up like a helicopter up to the top of the tower.
He starts screaming, and then we kind of just get a look kind of like at the top of the tower down, and you see Gandalf's face and just hits up. Right, and that's it. We're left on that.
Yeah, we're left there.
That. Like, what happened to Gandalf? Right. I mean, you could assume maybe he dies here,
Maybe.
but you could also assume maybe he doesn't. If you're not familiar at all with the books, right, or seen any of the trailers, that show Gandalf later in the movie. Spoiler alert: he does survive this.
Yes, he does. He survives this.
But anyway, we cut back to Frodo and Sam. They've continued on their journey. It's getting late in the afternoon, and they're getting to a little field, and Sam stops.
And he says,
Right,
Frodo, if I take one step further, it'll be the farthest away from home I've ever been. And Frodo stops. He turns back to Sam. He takes a couple steps back over to him. And he reassures him that he'll be okay.
he's like, he kind of quotes a line from Bilbo. It's like, that's what Bilbo used to say. It's a dangerous business going out about your door. And if you're not careful, if you don't lose your footing, you may not know where you get swept off to. Right. And it actually kind of changes to like an Ian Holmes' voice that kind of finishes it off. Right. And then from there, we kind of just get a mixture of kind of them going along. And now, this section of the book,
Sam pauses for a moment, and then he reluctantly reaches his leg out, and he takes one more step farther, and then he just keeps walking.
And each step is one step further, right? Actually, I'm glad he paused back on that for a second, because he does pause. It's actually like a super important scene. especially, after you watch the entire trilogy and you go back and watch it again, as it helps you understand his growth more when you rewatch it again.
Yeah.
Just see the whole arc of his story. It's easy to kind of get lost in it sometimes because you're so used to knowing the end of it. You get back to that beginning and just see him as, here he is. Frodo has to push him in to dance with Rosie, right?
Yeah.
And then he only gets caught in this because, well, he's afraid Gandalf might turn into something unnatural.
Yeah. He doesn't want to be turned into a newt.
So, yeah. So, no, it's important. Yeah, it's a super small, important scene.
He doesn't want Gandalf to end up weighing the size of a duck, like weighing the same as a duck.
We will do Monty Python also.
Yeah, we will someday.
Or the Holy Grail, I should say specifically, someday.
We might do some other Monty Python movies, but definitely Holy Grail.
Yeah, I mean, we'll do Holy Grail. So, yeah, and Sean Astin and Elijah Wood are great in the scene too. And so now we kind of get a collection of scenes of them walking. And this is where, like, in the book, this kind of takes a while. There's actually quite a bit of different things that happen, right?
Yeah.
And now on the extended edition, they actually reference them slightly, but not totally. Right? So, we get a scene where they're taking a break, they're smoking, and they hear this singing in the woods. Right?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, it's wood elves.
It's wood elves. And they
run
go
out
and Sam is ecstatic that he gets to see the elves. Because he's always wanted to see elves. He's never gotten to look upon elves. And so, yeah, they go and they sort of...
I mean, he's never left the Shire.
No, yeah.
And elves don't really go that direction.
No. And
don't pass through the Shire.
There's this little hill, and they go and sort of perch themselves on the hill, and they're kind of looking over the bushes, and they're watching this group of wood elves walking. There's this light around the elves.
And it's kind of funny. This white, bright light. Yeah.
And they're just walking in like single file.
Yep. Some are walking. There's a couple on horses, right? And it's a slow walk too.
They're singing
casually walking.
as they're going.
There's someone singing this beautiful song.
Yeah. And Frodo comes and says they're going to board ships to go to the Grey Havens.
Never to return again.
And they just
Sam, Sam just kind of ruminates on it and he watches and he's like, I don't know why. It makes me sad. Right? And then we kind of cut into another little scene, after that where they're going to bed for the night. Frodo is sleeping comfortably with his pipe by his head, which I never noticed until this most recent rewatch.
Yeah.
That the pipe is right by his head.
Yep. I mean,
and
sometimes you wake up in the middle of the night, you just got to smoke some of that long bottom leaf.
Exactly. He learned well from Gandalf to keep it close at hand all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. He doesn't have a staff, so he can't keep it in that. So he's got to, keep it right by his head when he's sleeping.
So, Gandalf, Sam's having a lot more trouble, right? He can't get comfortable. There's a root in his back. And
yeah, I mean, this is the first night that Sam has really slept out in the wild.
Yeah.
He's used to sleeping in a bed, a soft bed. He's not used to sleeping on the ground.
Frodo, he's much more content. And again, this is just such an interesting contrast, especially if you watch it close to Two Towers and Return of the King, and you watch it come back right after those and watch this again, just to see kind of, especially like Frodo, his demeanor and his progression. He's just peace. He's happy. He's just tells Sam, like, imagine you're back, in your bed with a nice feather pillow.
Yep.
So cuts it to the next day. Now, in the book, like, again, we talked about Tom Bombadil earlier. That's even later than what happened. That's later than this series of events. There's a lot more kind of happens in this section as they are leaving towards Bree.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the elves. They encounter elves much more intimately in the book.
Yes, they do.
Where they actually spend time with them, right? Yeah. So that doesn't, they just watch them here. So they encounter the Black Riders earlier also. So they continue to walk, and now they're in a field.
Yeah,
a corn,
like a farmer's field.
I guess cornfield, farmer's field, right? Lots of crops. And it's just Sam. Sam's walking out, and he's looking around. He's like, Mr. Frodo, where are you?
We found out that this is Farmer Maggot's crops. Farmer Maggot's field.
Yep, and Farmer Maggot is, again, Farmer Maggot's crops and field are definitely more of a focus in the book than what they are here, but they are here, right?
Yeah.
And then finally, he finds Frodo. I'm sorry, Sam finds Frodo. And Frodo's like, "Oh no, I was just over there." And Sam's like, "Oh well, I thought I lost you. I can't do that. It's just something Gandalf said." And Frodo's like, "What did he say?" It's like, don't you lose him, Samwise Gamgee. Don't you lose him. Right? And then Frodo's like, we're barely out of the Shire. Like, what's the worst that can happen?
And then they have a run-in with a couple more hobbits.
Merry and Pippin
come running through the fields, and they run right into them. Right into Sam and Frodo. And they're carrying they're carrying armfuls of crops.
And Sam sees all these crops. He's like, you've been raiding Farmer Maggot's crops again. It's like, oh no, it's just a little something. And then you hear
you hear Farmer Maggot, and he's calling out.
He's angry.
He's mad. He's running out into the field, and he knows somebody's been into his crops. And so Merry and Pippin, Merry Adoc Brandybuck and Peregrine Took, they grab Sam and Frodo, and they try to get away. And they tell so Frodo tells them that they have to go. They're on a journey. They have to go somewhere, and Merry and Pippin are like, "Oh, this is a shortcut." And as they're running, and they're like, "Shortcut to what?" And they trip and they fall down a hill, and then they land right in front of a bundle of mushrooms growing out of the ground, like mushrooms. A shortcut to mushrooms. Which
I
love how they had that. I love how they made that, like those lines in there in the movie, where it's a shortcut. A shortcut to what? Mushrooms. Because
that's the actual title of a chapter of the book.
Exactly.
A shortcut to mushrooms.
Yes. The chapter in the book where Frodo and Sam run into Merry and Pippin is called A Shortcut to Mushrooms.
Right? And so I love one too when Merry falls. I was like, I think I've broken something. He reaches behind him.
And he reaches behind him.
Really thick carrot.
A really thick carrot. And it's just broken in half.
He's like, oh. But yeah, I love those nods, different chapters and small pieces of the book, and how they're able to incorporate them into the movie.
Yeah.
And that's there is one of my favorite right there. It's a shortcut to mushrooms. And this next sequence too, I think, is probably one of the most brilliantly kind of realized like scenes and recreations from the book. Right?
Yeah.
Because
the
three of the hobbits get really excited about these mushrooms.
Yeah.
Right?
So they're picking them, they're getting ready to be able to eat them at some point.
And they've fallen onto a road.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's in the book, and it's in here, like they're trying to say like should stay off the roads.
Yeah.
Right? Try to cut through the country in the woods, but stay off the road. And they're on a main road now.
Yeah.
Right? But Frodo, he's looking around and he gets a sense of something.
Yeah. So
you got to remember, the ring is the life force of Sauron.
Mm-hmm.
So anything that's kind of connected with him is connected to that ring, and so you can tell he's getting that ring, Spidey ring
Yeah,
sense, right?
he's just getting that feeling that something's not right. And so Sam and Merry and Pippin are all, they're preoccupied with the mushrooms. And Frodo is he sort of looks back down the road, and he just, I like the way that they do this, because like the camera goes into like tunnel vision kind of thing, and like zooms in on him.
It does. Yep.
And then he just yells out, "Get off the road!" And
yeah, like be very frantic about it. So they get off, they grab their bags, right? All that. And just how the road is, again, like it's a road, but they fell down a good sized hill, right? Where the edge of the farm is to it. On the other side of it goes in the woods, but it's just a small kind of slope that goes down, right? Yeah. And there's like this big tree with roots, right?
With the roots that come around, and the roots kind of curve around like the side of the road where there's this little drop off where they are, and it sort of creates a little cave type of thing right there.
Yes,
that's just big enough for the four of them to squeeze into.
Because they go right over that and they squeeze into it, right? And they stop, and they try not to move. They try not to breathe, right? And as soon as they get under, like, then you start seeing the black hooves of a horse, just slowly walking up, right?
There. And then
the rider dismounts.
You see the rider, and he dismounts. He's wearing these black robes. Like, basically, it looks like, if you've ever seen A Christmas Carol, looks like the Ghost of Christmas Future. Like a sort of a Grim Reaper looking.
Very much like the Ghost of Christmas Future, yes.
You can't see his face. You just see it's just black robes. And he's wearing...
Nope.
He's wearing, armored gauntlets and armored boots. And he's sort of sniffing. He's sort of sniffing the air.
He starts sniffing, and he gets down like he's crawling.
He's down on his hands and knees, and he's right above where the hobbits are hiding.
And you get this great shot where you just get the four hobbits hiding and this rider, this sniffing. Right?
And
like they know he's right above them. And now their breathing's like they're trying to stop.
They're trying to be as quiet as possible. And then Frodo.
And all of a sudden you start seeing all of these little creepy crawlies, like
all these little bugs and centipedes
and all these things. Just they want to get away from this thing. They're like directly under him, right? In the ground. Like they gotta get out. They sense the evil here.
And Frodo, he starts being called by the ring.
Yes.
So he reaches into his pocket and he pulls the ring out. And, Gandalf told him, do not put the ring on. Don't put it on. And he's starting to put his finger in the ring. Like he's moving his finger closer to the ring because it's calling to him.
Sam sees it.
And Sam sees it.
He's getting so close to putting it on.
Sam sees it and he reaches over and he grabs Frodo's hand and keeps him from putting the ring on. And right then, the Black Rider stops what he's doing. He gets back on his horse and he rides off.
Well, no. Merry throws something.
Oh, that's right. Merry throws something and distracts him. And the rider, hears that and he hops on his horse and rides off toward that direction.
And then they get up, they start to run off, right? And Sam, Frodo looks down at the ring, and then we get this kind of series. It cuts to the nighttime that they've been running through the woods all afternoon and evening. Now they get to a point where Mary's like, that Black Rider was searching for something or someone. Frodo, right? And then Pippin yells, they get down, right? And they get down, right? And they kind of look up over this ridge, this road, and there's a Black Rider there again, right? And it's nighttime. Looks like it's probably like a full moon. Like he's completely lit up by the moon. a nice silhouette of him, right?
Yeah.
And the horse has his breath coming out.
And the horse sort of rears up.
So, and Sam, not Sam, Frodo looks over at Mary. He's like, Sam and I must leave the Shire. We must get to Bree. Mary's like, right. Buckleberry Ferry, follow me.
Yes, Buckleberry
right?
Ferry.
And they start to go off, but they get cut off by a rider that comes straight through the woods, right?
We don't know if it's the same rider or not. But we know that there are several riders
Buckleberry Ferry.
Yeah.
We don't.
So they're being chased by this rider.
Yep.
They're running. The rider's on a horse.
So they're running.
And they get to the ferry.
They're getting down there, and they finally get to the ferry, right? You got the little pier that's tied to, right?
And Mary and Pippin and Sam
Sam, they get on first, ferry. Right?
It's basically just this little raft.
Frodo, run. A little bit, yeah. And it's just tied to the pole there, right? At the pier. And they let it go. They've unraveled it so it could start floating down, right?
So it starts floating away from the pier.
And Frodo hasn't been there yet.
And Frodo's still running behind him, and he jumps and barely makes it onto the ferry. And
the horse stops.
And sort of rears up, and they're at a safe enough distance that it can't get to him.
That the horse is not going to jump. Yeah,
and
so it turns around, it goes down the road, and there's this high pitch, like shrill, scream, and then you see 2 or 3 other riders join it as they ride down, right? And Frodo looks over at Mary's like, how far is the nearest crossing?
Yeah, and
it's like 20 miles.
Yeah.
Brandywine Bridge, 20
miles.
Right.
So they're safe for now.
They're safe for now. We cut. It's like raining. It's still at night. It's still nighttime. It's raining. And they're close to Bree. Now, again, like they don't tell us that this is the same evening or whatnot, right?
No.
The book, all this takes place over a longer period of time.
Yeah.
Not as long as Gandalf was away from the party until coming back.
Yeah, so
but it takes over.
The movie does not do a very good job of depicting time like the book does.
But this takes place over days, right? But yeah, it's raining, and they got to cross the road, and to get into Bree, right? Again, it makes sense. There's a big gate to the city.
It's
they knock on the door.
There's a fence around the city, and there's this big gate. They knock on the door,
and the gatekeeper, he gets out of his little gatekeeper's house. That's right there, and he opens up the little window to see through, and there's nobody there, so he closes it,
and then
he opens up another one. It's a little bit.
There's another one about a couple feet below, and he opens that, and there's the hobbits' faces.
It's like, and he opens the door, like, hobbits, 4 hobbits. What business brings you to Bree? Right? He's like, our business is our own. It's like that's my question to ask. Question. It's my job to ask questions after nightfall.
Mm-hmm.
This talk of strange folk abroad, right?
But I mean,
it's but yeah, you can come in, right? And they start walking, and again, it's raining. They bump into Peter Jackson eating a carrot.
Yes. In each of the movies, in each of the trilogy, Peter Jackson has a cameo. And in this movie, his cameo, other than being Bilbo's father in the picture, in the painting above the fireplace, he's also the man walking down the street in Bree eating a carrot.
We neglected to mention, we can bring this up shortly, is that his children also have an appearance in this movie.
Yes. They were the young hobbits that were enjoying Gandalf's fireworks and his stories.
Oh, and also Bilbo's story about the trolls that get turned into stone.
Yes, Bilbo's story about the trolls. Yeah.
Yes, we missed that during the party. But
yes. But yeah, those are Peter Jackson's children. His son and his daughter.
So they keep walking, right? And it's kind of funny. Like, they make the town seem kind of dangerous, right? Bree's not really a dangerous town. There's some dangerous people in it overall. But anyway, I'm just thinking about the book.
Yeah.
But so they get there, right? They keep walking and they see the sign for the Prancing Pony.
The Inn of the Prancing Pony.
Right. And it's a bustling night, right? People are drinking, they're enjoying, they're making merry and whatnot.
I want to go to this inn.
I do too.
I would love to spend a night at this inn.
It's missing a certain band though.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know.
It is.
It's definitely the most lively cantina also though.
Yeah. I mean, it could definitely use the entertainment of Figure and Dan and the modal nodes.
But yeah, so they get there, and again,
but it's
normally it'd have regular.
Yes, to a certain extent, yes, it does resemble the Mos Eisley Cantina or Chalmers Cantina, but it's not nearly as dangerous as
it's not exactly.
That. It's not.
That's what I mean. Like they kind of at first glance, Bree seems dangerous, but
it's not the wretched hive of scum and villainy that Mos Eisley is.
It's not. It is not. Because the proprietor is actually such a nice guy.
Yes, he is. He is.
So they get there, right? And, because again, they're hobbits. The bar is set for men, right? Men height, right? So Mr. Bow is like, oh, hi, right? This is Mr. Butterbur, right? Barlin, right? That's his first name is Barlin. Barlamin, that's right. Barlamin. Played by David Weatherly.
Yep.
It's like, if you're looking for some accommodations, we have some nice hobbit-sized rooms, right? So again, they're used to having this town is used to having hobbits and men.
Barlaman Butterbur is his name.
Right. And he's like, well, no, right now we're looking for
we're looking for friend Gandalf. You know Gandalf? And
Gandalf.
He sits there and thinks for a second. He's like, Gandalf. Oh,
yes.
Yes. Big bushy beard. Big pointy hat.
Haven't seen him for 6 months. Now, here's where things kind of change a little bit from the book also, which I think work for the book. I think for the movie, they make a good choice on this. So they're confused. Like, okay, what are we going to do? We're going to wait here. We're going to drink.
Mm-hmm.
Right now. We'll get to it a little bit. I think we should go with the movie but he's very much the same character in the book as he is here in the movies.
And also, it's also important to note that before Sam and Frodo left the Shire, Gandalf told him that he should travel under the name Underhill.
Underhill, yes. And he says right there, it's like, can you tell him, oh yeah, Mr. Underhill, can you tell him we've arrived? And that's when they kind of like, oh, yeah. So they're sitting, they're at the table, at this table, they're drinking. And Pippin goes off to get another mug. Right? Well, no, they're sitting there. Merry comes back, and he's got this massive pint of.
Yeah, Mary's got So Pippin and Sam each have a cup of beer, a cup of ale, and they're drinking it. They have this little hobbit-sized mug, and they're drinking. And Mary comes over with this mug that's like twice the size of theirs, and he puts it on the table, and Pippin's like, "What's that?" And Mary's like, "It's a pint,
my friend.
My friend is a pint." And Pippin's like,
"It comes in pints.
I'm getting one. And when he gets up and runs over, then Sam, he's like, "You have a whole half already."
And Sam's just he's gripping a piece of bread, right? And so Pippin's back at the bar, and then Sam looks over at Frodo. He's like, "That man in the corner, right? This is corner table by the window next to the fireplace.
Mm-hmm. This guy sitting over there with a hood up.
He hasn't stopped staring at you since we got in here.
Yeah, he's got his hood up. He's smoking a pipe.
Right.
His feet are up. Kind of like Han Solo sitting in the corner of the bar. In the cantina.
Without a big hairy beast next to him.
Yeah. So
he's flying solo.
Oh, I see what you did there.
So Frodo gets out the ring and he just starts kind of turning it under the table, trying to get a sense of what's happening. And everything starts slowing down, right? We got guys drinking and beers going down their beards, laughing, right? And then, he hears the voice of the ring saying, Frodo, Frodo. But then it cuts back to kind of just regular. And it's like, you hear Pippin's voice, Frodo Baggins. I know a Baggins. Frodo Baggins. He's my cousin.
He's
twice
my
removed
second
on my
cousin,
side.
twice removed on my mother's side. Oh, Pippin.
So Frodo, Pippin has spilled the beans.
Yep.
As Pippin is wont to do.
Yeah, this is not the first time that Pippin
Frodo gets
has
up to try to stop him.
Said or done something that he shouldn't have.
But it will not be the last time.
Yeah. This is not the first time, and it will not be the last time.
Right? And so, as he starts running, this guy that's in the back corner, he's catching attention to this. And as soon as he gets up to Pippin to turn him, like he slips and he falls.
And the
he
ring,
had the ring in his hand from turning
Yeah.
it in his hand, right?
So he falls, and as he falls, his hand flies up and opens, and the ring flies up into the air. And it falls back down, and it lands.
If this was a regular ring, it would just kind of fall to the ground, right?
Yeah, but this ring, as it's coming back down, it zeroes in on his finger, and it just falls right onto his finger. And as soon as it gets on there, he disappears.
And he just pulled the greatest bar trick of all time.
Yes, he could have gotten so many free beers.
But then it cuts directly down, and as it's falling, you see this guy in the corner again. He's really paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
But after he disappears, and people gasp, Sam gasp, Merry gasp, Pippin gasp. It cuts to the shrieking Black Riders again, and now they're making a beeline for Bree.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and we see next thing we see Frodo. He's still invisible.
But we see from his point of view,
he crawls under this table.
He's sort of in the shadow world, the shadow realm.
Yes,
kind of thing. You can sort of see the silhouettes of everybody around him that are all up and moving around and stuff. But he's sort of just like he's in like this gray, shadowy realm.
Yep.
Kind of world, and he's sort of crawling under people, under those silhouettes, crawling between people's legs, and he climbs out of the other side, pulls the ring off, and there's this guy that was sitting in the corner right in front of him.
He pulls him out from under the table, and then there's like these steps are kind of right near there, and he drags him up to the steps. He's like, you draw far too much attention to yourself, Mr. Underhill. It's like, that's no trinket you carry. It's like, I carry nothing, indeed. And they go up, and he goes up into this room. I got, and there's some fire, candles that he has lit, and he just extinguishes them. He doesn't lick his fingers.
No.
He just
uses his fingers. He just pinches it. He just pinches the wick and extinguishes the fires or the flames. Just puts out the candles.
Like it's nothing. Oh, we forgot. Frodo does ask about him with Mr. Butterbar down the Butterbar downstairs. Like, oh,
Butterbar.
I've never, I don't really know much about him.
I don't know much about him, but I know they call him
Rangers.
It's one of those Rangers. They call him Strider.
Strange folks they are, but they call him around here. They call him Strider. It's like, and then, they're talking, and he just, Aragorn's. I just.
So
Strider's talking to him and says, like, you must not wait for the wizard. Frodo. He's like, and then They argue a little bit about it, and then comes in. You hear this voice come in. This noise come in. Strider turns around, points the sword at him, and we see Sam and the other hobbits.
Sam with his fists up, like he's gonna fight him. He's like, "I'll have you, Longshanks."
I love Pippin's holding a chair.
They're ready to go. They're ready to take on this ranger.
You know, Strider puts back his sword and says, like, they've got a stout heart there, Hobbit, but there's gonna be no match for what's coming. It's like, we gotta leave, right? And then it cuts to a scene later that night. You see the riders, right? We don't see the riders. No, we cut back to the gatekeeper.
Yeah,
and then here's a little bit of a pound. So he goes to investigate.
Poor gatekeeper.
And these riders are not courteous.
No, they're not. They're not like the hobbits were.
No, they bust the door down and trample him to death. You know, he's under the door, right? They knock the door down with him behind it,
and he's pinned on the door, and they've just run over the door and squish him.
Poor dude.
Yeah,
like, just doing his job.
I know. He's the gatekeeper.
Yeah, nice fire there.
How many years?
Gatekeeper.
How many years do you think he had to work to get the chill job of being the gatekeeper?
I know.
Poor guy.
Anyway. So they keep running it up, towards the prancing pony. And they're going into the end. And poor Barlin, like, obviously he lives there too. You see him behind his bar. He's got his nightcap on.
Yeah. He's wearing a nightcap.
These riders are riding by with their sword.
He is wearing a nightcap.
And he's just trying not to make a noise because he's scared to death, obviously.
Yeah. And they get to a room where
these four hobbit-sized
beds.
Which must have been, so the room this is the same room that we saw earlier.
Yeah.
That Strider just extinguishes the flames because we saw the 4 beds, and they're obviously smaller beds, and we get told they have nice hobbit accommodations.
Yeah, and then we see the hobbits sleeping.
Yep.
Frodo and Sam and Merry and Pippin, they're all sleeping in beds, and
we see their swords, right? And these swords, now we get a good look at these swords, right? They're not
huge, long swords. They look they're
old.
Yeah, they look ancient.
Right, they're nice pointy tip, but like there's chunks, it's jagged and yeah.
Nice pointy tips.
And then they just start plunging them in, there's 4 of them. So each one is plunging their sword
into the beds
into a bed.
And as soon as the first one comes down, then you see Sam wake up like something's happening, like he's being pierced by something. And then we see that the riders are just stabbing into pillows. These beds,
nice feather pillows.
These beds have feather pillows under the covers to make it look like there are people sleeping in there.
And they rip them off, and the feathers go flying, and they just start shrieking, and they leave, right?
And then it cuts to a different room where Strider is sitting by the window, and he's looking out and watching that room where the riders were, and watching them, ride away. And then we see the hobbits waking up.
They're relieved that they're not dead.
They're not dead. They were not in the same room as the riders. So they are safe. They're
sharing a bed now. This is one larger man-sized bed because they're hobbits. They can probably share something like a king-sized bed.
Yes, they can all share even probably a queen-sized bed, just like all of the old people in Willy Wonka.
That's true. Which might be a fun one to do. Anyway.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that movie. I don't know if we should do it. I don't know. Maybe we will someday. I don't know. But
anyway, enough about Willy Wonka and his chocolate factory and old people sharing a bed.
yeah,
So, and they ask Strider, like, well, who are they? They're the nine. They were once great kings of men. But then Sauron, the deceiver, offered them rings of power. And I'm blinded. They were just blinded by their greed and want for power. They took them, and they slowly devolved into these riders.
these ring wraiths.
They're called the Nine Ring Wraiths, the Nazgul,
The Nazgul.
the never stop hunting Gil. Right? And so they leave, right? And give a nice overhead shot of Bree in the daytime as they're leaving. They've left some money for the gatekeeper's family. No, we don't know that actually.
I'm sure they have. I'm sure they did. The hobbits are very kind people. They if they wouldn't do that, Strider would.
Leaving the Bree though is there's more to it that's in the book. It's not here. We don't need to get into that. So, and actually, there's going to be more time that passes after they leave Bree into the kind of the next scene, right? So, before we kind of get to the next travels, we probably should say, like, as they're going on this, it's there's been some stuff that's been interspersed with Isengard and Saruman.
Yeah.
Right. And he is spending his time now starting to see that he's gotten into industry.
Yes.
Right.
He's gotten
creating a forge. And
he's gotten a hold of some orcs from Mordor. Probably the ones that got sick of being at the foot of Mount Doom and wanted a little bit more scenery.
I mean, come on. If you're going to be next. Yeah. Isengard has much better views.
I mean, he's got trees and
he's got some mountains,
more trees and more trees, but not for long because Saruman.
There's not a giant eye that's surveying the entire land.
So Saruman has them tear down the trees and the more trees and the even more trees. And basically,
in fact, over the next two movies, they're just going to be tearing down a crap load of trees.
Yeah. A lot of trees are going to go bye-bye. And, basically what used to be, just solid ground at the base of Orthanc, Isengard has basically been turned into a crater.
Yeah.
Because Saruman has had the orcs build basically a factory underneath Orthanc, where they can build an army.
Yep, and they're going to forging swords and shields and other weaponry, right? And they're going to build an army too. They're going to actually breed, other, orcs or orc type creatures.
Well, yeah, right? Basically orcs on steroids, called Uruk-hai.
Yes, Uruk-hai, right? They'll kind of get into the difference a little bit later in the movie. But we can kind of just say it now, I guess. It's orcs in general just travel at night, or like to stay on the ground when possible, or under cover of darkness, like in Mordor, because like the sun does not shine there. They're just
orcs are basically small, sort of lanky. They are scary because of numbers, not so much because of the individual orcs. Whereas the Uruk-hai
are different.
They are about the size of a man.
Travel at day, but they're the size of a man. They have speed. And
they have strength. They are intimidating. The Uruk-hai they're formidable. Just one Uruk-hai is the equivalent of probably dozens of orcs.
So, yeah, I think that's a good description. So that's kind of what's going on with Isengard and Orthanc right now. Except we get another shot of Gandalf He's at the sitting at the top of the tower while all this is going on, right? We get these shots down in these tunnels, and the underneath the Isengard
Yeah.
and
So he's
the
basically
ground.
he's on the roof of the tower.
Yep. And now the music has changed to nice, soft, melodic, and more angelic, right? And he's sitting at the roof, right? And again, like there's 4 prongs at the top, and so he's just using one of them as his backrest, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell he's tired, he's hungry.
He's got sort of a bloody nose, and
Yep.
he kind of got his ass handed to him by Saruman.
We see this. He did, yeah. I mean, he got spun up the entire tower.
Yeah.
And pushed through it. I don't know. Anyway, so he's sitting there.
I always figured he got sent up to the top of the tower, and then there was a window at the top that he got thrown out of, and then up onto the roof. I don't know, but that's just always how I pictured it. But
so he's sitting up there, and we see this moth start flying, and it flies near.
And he catches it.
And instead of swatting it, he catches it.
He reaches out and catches it, and then he brings it up
close
it in the
palm of his hand.
He brings it up close to his mouth, and he whispers something to it, and then he lets it go, and it flies off.
Lets it go, and it flies off. Right. So we're now back with Strider and the hobbits, and they're walking. And the 4 of them are trying to assess the situation. Again, they're off the main road. They're going through rugged country. It's like, how do we know we can trust this Strider? And Sauron, I mean not Sauron. Frodo's like, well, I think the agent of the enemy would feel fouler and look fairer. Well, well, he feels foul enough, right?
Yeah.
They keep going, like, well, where's he taking us? And, Strider this whole time is hearing all their conversations.
Yeah. He's listening.
He's like, to Rivendell, Master Gamgee, to see the elves. Right? Like, okay, let's go see the elves. Yay! I want to see the elves.
He's like, you hear that, Mr. Frodo? We're going to see the elves.
He's convinced now that the Strider's
a good
on
guy.
their side. Right.
So they stop. They stop in the middle of the road, and Sam pulls out his pots and pans and stuff, and they're starting to cook something. And Strider stops, and he's like, "What are you doing?" It's like we're cooking. We're making some food, making breakfast. And he's like, and Strider's like, well, you already had breakfast. And then Pippin's like, well, what about second breakfast? What about second breakfast? Yeah, we've had one, yes, but what about second breakfast? And
and Strider just continues walking.
He just keeps walking.
Just shakes his head.
And then
Mary looks at him like, I don't think he knows about second breakfast, Pip.
And then Pip's like,
he doesn't?
He doesn't?
What about
elevensies? What about elevensies? Luncheon?
And
afternoon tea?
Afternoon tea?
Dinner? Supper?
He knows about them, doesn't he? I wouldn't
count on it, Pip. And then you see an apple fly, because Strider has gone quite a ways ahead of them, and you see this apple fly from over the trees, and Mary catches it, and then sort of looks at Pippin, and he just walks away with his apple, and then another apple comes over and hits Pippin right in the face.
They continue on. And we get a couple other small scenes that are in the extended edition, but not in the movie. They kind of go through this bog with these flies.
Mm-hmm.
And it's uncomfortable, right? And then we get a scene with them at night where, Strider has used his bow skills to kill a stag.
And he's just walking back. He's got this deer over his shoulder, Arnold Schwarzenegger style.
Yes.
He's just carrying it back to him. Like it's nothing.
Yep. And, apparently he helps them cook it. And they have they have venison for dinner, right? And they're sleeping, but now at this point, you see Frodo, he's awake and he's looking at the ring as he's right, but then he hears them singing, and Strider's he's keeping night
he's
watch.
keeping watch.
He's not sleeping. He's not sleeping at all.
No, he's keeping watch,
leading them through the wild and not sleeping. He's keeping. Yeah, I mean, this is badass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but he's singing this nice, beautiful song, and it's about and he's singing it like an Elvish.
And Frodo comes up to him and he asks him, "Who is the song about?" And Strider tells him it's about a man who fell in love with an elf back,
she gave,
centuries ago.
She gave her heart to him.
She gave her heart to him, and
they loved each other. And it's like, and not Gandalf, Frodo's like, well, what happened to her?
And he says she died because elves are immortal. But they can choose, if they fall in love with a human, they can choose to give up their immortality to be with that human. And so that's what the song's about. It's about, the man and the elf who fell in love.
Right.
The elf gave up her immortality so she could be with the man. And eventually she died.
Correct.
She was no longer immortal.
Mm-hmm. Now, elves can be killed, but they will not die of natural causes also.
Yeah.
So, right.
And we find out later how important this song is to Strider.
Yes, it's very, very important to Strider. Especially within the movies. It's fun. It's funny. Like the books, obviously, it's not as big, and people make a big deal about that. And I don't think people need to make a big deal about it.
No.
But anyway, we'll get to that. So we kind of cut to the next day, I guess, or another day, and we get there, and they're coming through this clearing, and there's this huge plateau with like this massive fortress.
It looks kind of like Stonehenge.
Fortress
looks kind of like Stonehenge at the top of the top of this like towering rock.
And Frodo, Strider's just like, oh, this is the Great Watchtower, right?
This is Weathertop.
Is Weathertop, right? It's like, we will rest here tonight. So they get to the top of it, and Strider throws each of them like these swords, these daggers.
Yeah, so he takes down this big, like, wrapped up, cloth that he has, this satchel type of thing that he sort of throws it on the ground, and it's just, this blanket is filled with swords. Like to a man there would be daggers, but since hobbits are smaller than men,
to a hobbit it's like a sword.
Would be swords. So he throws them down, and there are 4 of them there, and he's like, these are for you. So each of the hobbits takes one.
And, the Strider is going to have a look around.
Which, in the book, these daggers, these hobbit swords, are given to them by Tom Bombadil, not by Strider. So this is one of those things that, since they didn't include Tom Bombadil in the movie, they sort of had to transfer some of the things that he provided to other characters.
It's important that they have them. And this was a nice, simple way of doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, like, Tom Bombadil happens before they get debris in the book.
Yeah.
Right? That's kind of what
Tom Bombadil
right
comes
before
around
they get debris.
After they run into Merry and Pippin, but before they get debris.
Yep. The 4 of them spend time with Tom Bombadil. Old Tom Bombadil.
Tom Bombadillo.
Anyway, so Strider goes he's going out to have a look around. So he's making sure they're armed when this happens, right? But Frodo ends up falling asleep, and he wakes up. He hears the other hobbits talking, and he feels a little bit of a warmth also.
And he looks over, and they have a fire that they've built, and they're
like,
cooking
"What are you
food.
doing?"
They're cooking
Mary's
food.
like, oh, potatoes, nice crispy bacon.
And Frodo gets over there and he's like, put out the fire.
Put it out, you fools.
Put it out. And yeah, so he, throws some dirt and everything over the fire to try to put it out.
But it's too late.
It's too late. It's been seen by the Nazgul. And
so, like, they're not quite at the very top of the top here, right? They're just kind of close to it.
But they're not. They're not quite up.
They're able to run up to the top, and they huddle in a circle, the center of the top.
They all draw their swords, and they're sort of back. Their backs are facing each other, so they're sort of in a circle.
Yeah, you have each direction covered, right? But like, I love the scene because it almost just feels like the Nazgul just float up to the top.
Mm-hmm.
They just appear out of the dark, and they start in, right?
They start coming in on the hobbits.
They're trying to corner them in, right? And they have their swords out at them, right? And now they reposition themselves to huddle around Frodo, right?
And so Frodo, he's sort of backing up, and so he puts on the ring.
Well, before that, Sam starts, Sam tries to fight a little bit, they cling swords, and you can tell the Nazgul know who has the ring, right?
Yeah.
They just kind of push the others out of the way, and Frodo kind of trips over and he falls.
And he puts the ring on.
And he gets the ring out.
And then he's back in that shadow world, that shadow sort of.
There's one in particular,
realm,
right before he puts it on, there's one in particular that takes a real interest. But he's back in that shadow world. And then all of a sudden he can see all of them. And now he sees that they have faces.
And they have crowns. So they have faces and they have crowns.
And they're old.
Yes, and they're old. They're very old. And they're not wearing their black robes like they were before he put the ring on. And they're not like, their faces aren't like clear, identifiable faces. They're sort of elongated, ghostly faces. And this one clearly sees him.
He's trying to reach Frodo's hand.
Reaches for him, and Frodo pulls away.
Because at first, Frodo's hand's almost like it's drawing towards his hand, but he's able to draw it back and pull it away.
So he pulls away, and this ring wraith that's right in front of him sort of rears back, and he pulls his sword back, and it's more of like a dagger that he pulls back, and he just stabs Frodo in the shoulder.
It's painful. He can tell he's like, ah! And now he's just drawing his hand closer to try to get the ring, since now he's incapacitated.
So now Frodo takes the ring off, and he's back in the real world, in the regular world. And before the Nazgul can make another move on Frodo, in comes Strider. He's got a sword in one hand and a torch in the other.
And all hell is breaking loose. He is now fighting the Nazgul by himself. Now the hobbits go attend to Frodo while this is happening.
Now all 9 of them are not here.
No, it's five? I think it's five of them here.
Yes,
there's 4 and 3, but there's 5 right here.
5 of them at Weathertop. So Strider is going in. He's taking on all 5 of them on his own. He's swinging his sword. He's swinging the torch. He lights one on fire with the torch, and that one goes running off and lights another one on fire. Then another one gets lit on fire. And
there's only one left now, and he's kind of searching around, and Strider turns around and he sees him.
But it's great. So the first one that he catches on fire, the way that he does it, he just throws the torch right into his face.
It's always loved that.
He throws the torch,
it's like,
and it just sticks right in the right of his face.
It's like a bullseye.
Yeah. It just lights him on fire. And he's like rolling around. He's running around like crazy and like runs into another one and catches him on fire. And then runs into another one, catches him on fire.
And that's how they're able to escape for the time being. Because of that.
Yeah. Because Strider's a badass.
So now, yes, he is.
Now, in the book, it is slightly different. In the book,
yes,
Strider comes in with 2 torches instead of a sword and a torch.
Yes. So now they're back off in the wilderness. Well, before they leave, he comes back, he checks with Frodo, and he sees a little dagger.
He picks it up, and he looks at it, and he says, he was stabbed with a Morgul blade. And then the blade of the dagger just disintegrates. It just crumbles into dust. And so it's just the hilt.
This is beyond my skill to heal. He needs elvish medicine. So now it's this really mad dash to get to Rivendell, because this entire time, the Nazgul is still on them. right? As they're trying to get to Rivendell.
So they leave Weathertop and they're going through the woods and they end up at this place where Frodo is getting worse. And Strider is afraid that they're not going to have enough time to get into Rivendell because it's still 6 days away.
So they're stopped, and you can see them just looking around, and there's these big stone dwarves.
These big stone trolls.
Sam looks at Frodo. He's like,
oh, it's Bilbo's trolls.
It's Bilbo's trolls.
Yeah, they're the trolls that Bilbo was telling the story about earlier. He was telling the kids.
Which we get to see in the Hobbit movie. If you watch the Hobbit movie, you get to see that scene.
Yes, you do. These trolls that turn to stone.
But, they're at the point where, they're exhausted, and, they're realizing, Frodo's in bad shape. And as Strider explains, he's slipping into their shadow world. He'll be a wraith like them soon. Not that he's going to die, he's going to become a wraith like them.
Yeah, he's going to become a wraith like them, unless he can get him to the elves in time. And so
he talks to Sam. He talks to Sam because he knows Sam knows his plants.
Yes, he knows Sam is a gardener. And so he asks Sam if he knows of a particular plant. And Sam's like, Kingsfoil, that's a weed.
It's it may help slow the poison.
And so he sends Sam off to try to find some Kingsfoil while he also goes to try to find some.
Yep. And Pippin and Merry, they stand back to look after Frodo. And he's looking for, he finds
Strider,
some Kingsfoil, and he's about to cut off with his little, pocket knife.
And then he gets a sword to his neck. And you hear a woman's voice.
What's this? A ranger cut off his guard, and we cut.
The sword is cut.
And now we see it from Frodo's point of view, right?
The shot cuts.
And he sees this bright light coming towards him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Aerosmith.
Yes. I don't want to miss a thing. Starts playing.
Yeah. Steven Tyler's is rocking out. No, it's Steven Tyler's daughter, Liv Tyler, who plays Arwen.
Arwen the elf.
And she's speaking. She's actually, at this point, she's just speaking softly to Frodo, to be not afraid, that type of thing, right? And then the other hobbits see what's going on. It's oh, she's an elf. And so then it's well, you gotta get to Rivendell, right? And Arwen and Strider have this conversation. It's there's a few wraiths behind you. Where the others are, I don't know. And Aragorn's you stay with the other hobbits. I'm gonna take Frodo. It's no, I'm a faster rider than you.
She's I'm a faster rider than you. I'll take him. And so she puts Frodo up on her horse and she starts riding. Now it's so the movie, this is Arwen who's in here.
Yes.
In the book, it's actually an elf named Glorfindel.
Correct.
Who does this part, who comes and picks up Frodo and takes him to Rivendell. So Arwen's riding and the Nazgul are right on her tail. Eventually
she gets all 9 Nazgul on her tail, and they get close. There's times where
they're all there,
next to her.
They're right next to her, reaching for him, reaching for Frodo.
And Frodo's face at this point, it looks like it's bruised, and he's just pale.
Yeah,
right.
He looks like he's on the verge. He's of bad, death. And
right. And I love the music for this.
Before she left, she told Strider that all she needs to do is get to the river.
Yes,
she needs to get to the river.
At that point, her father's magic will save them, or at least protect them.
So
they're going through woods. They're going through open fields, back through woods, right?
And she's just riding. Close. She's riding like her life depends on it.
And there's a point where, again, they're almost encircled. And then she's able to speak to the horse and gets a nice power boost.
Yep.
It's still...
she's got to activate that nitrous oxide booster for the horse. I mean, she is riding Vin Diesel's horse.
I was going to say, Vin Diesel crafted this horse.
Yeah.
Anyway.
She's trying to get Frodo back to family.
Do we need to do Fast and the Furious next summer?
We might. We might need to. But anyway,
okay. But
she gets to the river.
They get towards the river,
and she
gets into the middle of the river.
It's real low water. It's basically it looks more like a creek than a river.
Yeah, I mean it's wide, but it's not deep.
Yeah.
And, it's stones, all these things, right?
So she gets out about the middle of the river and she stops and turns around.
Taunts them.
And she taunts them because all the riders stopped at the riverbank and she taunts them. She's basically, come and get me.
Yeah. And it's give up the halfling she-elf.
And if you want him, come and claim him.
And they just draw their swords and she steps back a bit towards the other bank and they start going in and she starts
whispering something in Elvish. And then all of a sudden,
Frodo's just looking at them as this is happening.
All of a sudden,
the stones kind of move a little bit. The water starts shaking.
And as if Lex Luthor's missile had destroyed Hoover Dam, the water just comes rushing down this river. And as it's coming down, the waves at the front of the water start looking like horses.
horses that are just going to just trample the other horses and the riders.
And as all the riders
rushes over them,
as the last rider gets into the water, this wave of water just washes all of them out. Just takes them all downstream, all 9 of them.
Now, so when I first saw this, this scene pumped me up.
Mm-hmm.
You just a few minutes earlier, you have Viggo Mortensen throwing a torch into a man. And it ends with this, like the real big, cool scenes.
Yeah.
Like it's so well done. And like it's and it's funny, like you read the books again, like there's a little bit more time in terms of what happens between Bree and here, but they keep it nicely contained here and keep the action up because we're gonna take a little bit of a lull after this, which is good. We need that.
So then
but she takes Frodo off the horse, right?
And he's starting to pass out. He's fading. He's fading fast.
She's like, Frodo, don't go. And she's just like, whatever grace or energy I have, may it pass to him. Right?
And then Frodo.
And then we cut.
Passes out.
We hear this voice. It's a man's voice, right? And it's doing some other type of, not a spell, but some other elvish, we can tell, trying to heal, right?
And it's a voice that we've heard before.
Yes.
We
see his face. He looks like a face that we've seen before, too, from the beginning of the movie.
Yep.
And it stops. The big, bright light stops now, right? And now we see Frodo. He's in the bed, and he wakes up.
And he's looking at Agent Smith.
Well, not yet. He's looking at Ian McKellen.
Yes, that's right.
Magneto.
He is. He's looking at Magneto.
He's looking at Gandalf. Right? And he's in this nice bed.
Yeah, he's in this big bed. Big bed.
This beautiful room.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's wood, there's trees. He's looking out to these nice trees and this veranda. And then he's like, Gandalf. And like, why weren't you in Bree? Why weren't you in Bree?
Well, first, Gandalf is like, hello, Mr. Baggins. It's 8 o'clock in the morning on October the 24th, if you must know.
That's right. He gives an exact time. And they're talking. It's like, a few more hours, it would have been beyond our help. And he's changed clothes now. He's got this white shirt on. He's looking well. He's got his color back. And then he wants to know where Gandalf was.
So he has where Gandalf was. And Gandalf,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry,
I was delayed.
I was delayed. I always love... I mean, there's that video that's been passed around on Facebook and all sorts of stuff that Gandalf saying, this line, I'm sorry, but I was delayed. And then it just cuts to a guy dressed as Gandalf partying.
No, he's still stuck on top of Orthanc. And he's having a chat with Saruman.
Yeah.
And he's trying,
so it cuts back to Gandalf on Orthanc.
Staff. And he has Gandalf hanging over Orthanc. He's suspended. He's really suspended kind of in air, but he's keeping him up with his own wizardry power. And he lifts him back up. He's now kind of face down on the tower. He's giving him another chance. He's a good friend. He's giving him another chance.
He's a great
before
friend.
He murders him.
Saruman is a great friend. Give him one more chance before you murder him. I mean, come on. How much better of a friend can you be?
And so Gandalf, he kind of looks up. He sees something. He pauses and he looks back at Saruman. He's like, "There can be only one Lord of the Rings.
There can be only one."
Then Christopher Lambert
he shows up of nowhere. And he chops off Saruman's head, and then he chops off Gandalf's head, and then lightning strikes and he absorbs their powers. And he rises up into the air.
We will be doing Highlander.
Yes, we will. Don't know when yet, but we will. But no.
Anyway, and then
the moth
the edge.
Flies up. He sees the moth.
Oh, he sees the moth fly up. That's right.
The moth flies over, and Gandalf sees it, and he knows that...
He can jump.
He knows that his message got through that he sent with the moth before. And so Gandalf just runs over to the edge, and he jumps off.
And Saruman's like, what?
He just swan dives off of the top of Orthanc. And Saruman's like, okay. He just killed himself. All right, save me the trouble. But Gandalf is caught by a giant eagle.
And Saruman's like, where did he come from?
Saruman's like, what? Where'd this eagle come from?
I didn't order an eagle.
I ordered Uber, not eagle.
And then someone's like, so you chose death. As Gandalf just flying away.
You chose poorly.
And we should clarify, we're not just talking about a general, like, bald eagle or other regular eagle, which are big birds.
No, but this is a gigantic eagle.
This is like,
like a gigantic golden eagle.
Imagine, yes. Bring back to like Fast and the Furious, how they just, last of the movies just went on steroids. They take that energy and you pumped it into an eagle.
Yeah, this eagle has probably a 30-foot wingspan. It's a gigantic eagle. It's huge.
Anyway, so he flies off with the eagle, and we cut back, and they talk a little bit, and then,
So did the eagle take him all the way to Rivendell?
That's a good question. He drop him off at the nearest rest area. Yeah. Like, you got to do the rest.
Yeah,
you go ahead.
You're good from here.
Make sure you get some snackage.
Here's a 5-spot.
I see you have jerky. A pipe, so I assume you like Funyuns. They have Funyuns here.
Funyuns are delicious. I love Funyuns.
It's not your thing. I see there's pork rinds.
But they're back in Rivendell.
Then all of a sudden, like, Sam runs up.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Mr. Frodo. And Gandalf's like, oh, yeah, Sam has hardly left your side. And Sam's like, oh, we were really worried about you, weren't we, Gandalf?
But
like,
he couldn't be there when he wakes up. What kind of friend is that? I mean, come on.
That's a good question. Anyway.
He's hardly left his side, but he's still left his side.
Except for the exact moment he woke up.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, yeah, you're almost beyond our aid, but thanks to Master Elrond, you'll be on the mend soon. And then it cuts. Out of nowhere. Welcome to Rivendell, Mr. Anderson.
It's Agent Smith. No, it's Hugo.
Somehow
Weaving.
Ray-Bans are like a thing, and
that's Hugo. It's Hugo Weaving playing Elrond, the leader of Rivendell, the king of Rivendell. He is the one who healed Frodo as much as he could heal. But as he describes, the wound will always be there. The elves have been able to save him from becoming a wraith, but the wound will always be there.
Yep. He remarks on Frodo's resiliency to withstand the power of the ring.
And that's it for part 1. Get ready for part 2 of The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring.